A large number of soldiers gather on the 8th floor of the tower, known as the Plane of Extinction. Leading them is Kyojo Itsuki, the guild leader of Blue Zone. Their goal is to finally defeat the previously unconquered 8th floor guardian. Itsuki warns everyone not to grow careless just because this is a joint raid, reminding them that if they fail here, reaching the 9th floor will remain nothing more than a distant dream. As he addresses his troops, the Blue Eyes Guild arrives. Although both Blue Eyes and Blue Zone are separate guilds, their leaders share a connection. Blue Eyes Guild leader, Narigami Subaru, meets Itsuki and apologizes for the delay. Itsuki warmly welcomes him, clearly pleased to see him again. During their conversation about the Woolens, Subaru hands over a legendary ranked item to Itsuki, an item that can restore half of one's maximum fatigue when it reaches its limit, though it has only one use remaining. Subaru insists on ensuring the success of the raid, but entrusts the item to Itsuki in case things take a turn for the worse. Subaru then asks if Itsuki plans to return to Blue Eyes after the battle so the item can be returned. Avoiding a direct answer, Itsuki tells him to keep it if he has no intention of coming back. Before the conversation can continue, the 8th floor guardian, the poison dragon, Hydra, appears before them. Itsuki immediately orders everyone to prepare for battle. Subaru joins the fight, unleashing the lightning power coursing through his body, determined to defeat Hydra. As the creature prepares a devastating breath attack, Itsuki commands everyone to evade. However, Subaru steps in without hesitation, striking Hydra and forcing it to take flight to avoid the blow. Itsuki is visibly impressed, and both he and Subaru's teammates praise the attack. Rina, one of Subaru's teammates, asks about the item Subaru gave to Itsuki earlier, but he refuses to reveal it, stating that defeating Hydra is their top priority so they can finally break through the cursed 8th floor. Subaru's party advances toward Hydra, while Itsuki and his troops quietly observe from behind. Meanwhile, Itsuki and Wooleen begin their own operation. Itsuki moves toward Chino, who is providing support to Subaru's team during the battle. Despite Hydra's overwhelming presence, everyone manages to hold their ground, even turning the fight into a competition to see who can deal more damage. During the clash, Hydra goes to strike toward Chino. She confidently tells the others to keep attacking, assuring them she can defend herself. As she raises a barrier, Itsuki suddenly appears behind her and strikes at her with his sword. In that moment, Itsuki reveals his true intentions. He plans to eliminate every member of Blue Eyes. Subaru witnesses Chino's death, and rage consumes him. However, he cannot afford to lose focus, as Hydra launches another attack toward him while he demands to know why Itsuki committed such a betrayal. Before continuing, the story takes a moment to explain the tower itself. In this world, a mysterious tower suddenly appeared, delivering the same message to all players. It was the very first message ever given, yet no one knows whether it is a trial or a blessing. Its true nature remains completely unknown. No one knows who created it or for what purpose. Despite that, people feel an irresistible urge to follow its call. With the goal of reaching the top, something no one has ever achieved, beings from multiple worlds, including Earth, Murim, Runeterra, Elflard, and Lucan, enter the tower. Each carries their own mission as they continue to climb. Returning to the present, Hydra has already been defeated, but the victory comes at a devastating cost. Subaru's teammates have all fallen, refusing to retreat even when he told them to escape. Subaru himself is on the verge of death. Subaru's condition continues to worsen. His natural recovery has been halted, and his fatigue level is nearing its limit. As he reflects on everything, he bitterly realizes that people would have praised him as the Lord of Thunder for this achievement, but instead, he was betrayed by Itsuki. Demanding an explanation, Subaru confronts him. Itsuki reveals that he has waited 10 years for this very moment, to kill Subaru. For reasons of his own, both Subaru and the Blue Eyes Guild had become a constant source of irritation to him. In the end, Itsuki chose his own ambitions over their bond. After exposing his true intentions, Itsuki mocks Subaru, even mentioning that there's no point in returning the legendary item since Blue Eyes will disappear along with him. He plans to present Subaru's death as that of a heroic figure, even though Subaru won't be alive to see it. Realizing he cannot survive, Subaru refuses to go down quietly. He pulls out a legendary item capable of generating a powerful gust that can blow targets up to 10 kilometers away. With 4 uses remaining, he activates it once to send the few surviving Blue Eyes members to safety, determined to let at least some of them escape. Itsuki orders his troops to pursue them, but Subaru stands in their way. Despite his fatigue reaching 95, he summons his lightning power. Though weakened, it is still enough to fight. Subaru declares that whatever their reasons for following Itsuki, they will not leave this place alive without his permission. The enemy hesitates but eventually charges at him, only to be struck down. However, Subaru knows that if Itsuki personally steps in, the situation will change completely. With little time left, he prepares to end things quickly, but before he can move, he is attacked from behind. One by one, enemies strike him, believing they have finally killed him. But Subaru refuses to fall. Using the last of his strength, he unleashes a burst of lightning, defeating everyone around him. Now completely exhausted, he can barely stand. Itsuki watches and coldly remarks that Subaru's era has ended in misery. Even as his fatigue approaches its limit, Subaru refuses to accept defeat. Itsuki should know better than anyone. Subaru always wins in the end. With his final strength, Subaru rises and launches one last attack. Itsuki, confident in his Archangel's protection item, believes he is safe. As Subaru's life fades, he regrets only one thing, that he could not witness Itsuki's death. Even in his final moments, he finds it strange that his consciousness continues. Suddenly, he smells something foul, and in the next instant, he awakens inside a dumpster. Confused, Subaru realizes that both his body and appearance have completely changed. At first, he wonders if he has fallen into hell. However, everything becomes clear when he discovers his new identity, Hasoi Subaru. The legendary Narigami Subaru had died 20 years ago, and now he has been reborn in the body of a young boy with poor stats. As memories flood his mind, Subaru struggles to accept reality. Desperate for answers, he searches for information and learns that after his death, Blue Eyes failed to find a successor, while Itsuki is still alive. Once close friends and trusted teammates, their bond had shattered when Itsuki suddenly left the guild without explanation and later formed his own. Subaru also discovers that 20 years have passed, yet Itsuki remains stuck on the 90th floor. While browsing further, Subaru comes across news about a memorial hall built in his honor. Curious, he visits the site and finds a grand structure dedicated to him. There, he learns the truth. Itsuki turns Subaru into a symbol, portraying him as a heroic figure who nearly reached the top of the tower. The memorial honors the hero of Blue Eyes and the legend that inspired countless players. However, when Subaru sees Itsuki's hologram delivering this narrative, his anger boils over. Itsuki claims that Blue Eyes no longer exists and that Blue Zone is the rightful successor carrying on their legacy. But Subaru knows the truth. Itsuki is the one who killed him. At that moment, Subaru's resolve hardens. Filled with rage and determination, he swears to take revenge and make Itsuki pay for his betrayal. Subaru vows that he will never allow himself to face the same cruel fate again. Determined not to waste his second chance, he resolves to grow stronger and take revenge on Itsuki. While lost in thought, a small child suddenly bumps into him. Concerned, Subaru asks if the child is all right, but he is shocked to see the child wearing a mask modeled after his own. Moments later, the child's parents arrive and apologize, and Subaru realizes that many people in the memorial hall are wearing the same mask. Confused, he recalls Itsuki's words about turning him into a hero in the public's eyes, and finally understands what he meant. Subaru walks toward the area where people are offering prayers in his name. The place is filled with flowers, all part of a grand facade that allows Itsuki to claim the achievements of Blue Eyes as his own. As Subaru looks around, he notices a single flower emitting a faint glow. Without hesitation, he rushes forward. The reason for his sudden urgency is clear. The flower belongs to Asajiri Shigyur. The scene shifts to a group who appear to be former members of Blue Eyes, standing on a rooftop. They discuss how they managed to get through the memorial again this year without incident. One of them expresses concern, noting that they could have encountered members of Blue Zone. She questions whether it is necessary to take such risks every year, but Shigyur insists on continuing. He still believes that Subaru is alive and hopes that one day he might notice the flower they leave behind. Rina sighs, pointing out that the chances of Itsuki finding them are far higher than them ever finding Subaru. She also argues that if Subaru were truly alive, he wouldn't have remained silent while his former teammates were hunted for 20 years. Despite her doubts, Shigeru ignores her and continues on. Meanwhile, Subaru runs toward the flower garden, wondering if Shigeru could really still be alive. Later, he returns to the room once used by his former self. The place is bare, and he has no money or resources. He searches for information about Blue Eyes, but finds nothing. However, one thing is certain, Shigeru is alive, but has been in hiding for the past 20 years. Subaru realizes that Itsuki is the root cause of everything. There is no way Itsuki would leave anyone who knows the truth alive. He is unsure whether Shigeru is the only survivor or if the 4 members he sent away with the wind survived as well. Regardless, making contact now would be too dangerous. Without any power, approaching them would only draw unwanted attention. For now, Subaru decides to focus on regaining his strength. According to his memories, the tutorial to qualify as a player will begin in 2 days. As long as Shigeru is alive, they can reunite in the future. 2 days later, the tutorial examination begins. Inside the hall, the examiner, Huger, questions a participant who barely managed to defeat 2 goblins, asking if he still wants to proceed to the next stage, where he would face 3. Overwhelmed, the participant chooses to forfeit and is teleported out of the tower. Disappointed, Huger remarks that aside from Isaac, the son of Reinhardt, who cleared 20 stages, none of the participants show any promise. He notes that the overall quality of applicants has been declining. Then, Huger notices the name of the next participant, Narigami Subaru. His interest is immediately piqued, though he remains skeptical until the test begins. As the trial starts, Huger summons 2 goblins, expecting the same outcome as before. However, he is stunned when Subaru defeats both instantly. Subaru's preparation over the past 2 days proves effective. He has already adapted to his new body. Despite its previously untapped potential, the body itself is remarkably capable. Without hesitation, Subaru advances to the next stage. As he continues clearing levels at an incredible pace, Huger becomes increasingly shocked. He realizes that Subaru is not merely swinging his sword. He is predicting and reacting to movements several steps ahead, a level of combat ability that even Huger finds difficult to comprehend. Huger begins to wonder if such skill is even possible unless Subaru is somehow the reincarnation of the legendary Narigami Subaru. After defeating wave after wave of enemies, Subaru reaches the 49th stage. The system then asks if he wishes to challenge the boss. Without hesitation, Subaru accepts. Moments later, and the goblin boss emerges. Watching this unfold, Huger grows concerned, believing that even someone as skilled as Subaru may not be able to defeat the boss. The Goblin King appears before Subaru, enraged by the fact that he has just defeated 49 goblins. Watching from afar, Huger grows even more concerned and urges Subaru to give up before it is too late. Even Subaru understands that he cannot deal significant damage head-on, but he refuses to back down. Instead, he suddenly throws his sword to the ground. This unexpected move alarms Huger, who begins to wonder if Subaru has lost his mind. The Goblin King charges straight at him, but is suddenly struck by a needle. Confused, it tries to understand what just happened. Subaru reveals his strategy. By discarding his sword, he was able to collect the poison needles from the goblins he had already defeated. With a confident smile, whether the Goblin King will defeat him first or succumb to the poison. In a precise move, Subaru strikes with the needle and injures the Goblin King's eye, blinding it. Enraged and in pain, the creature begins swinging wildly. However, this creates the perfect opening for Subaru. He recalls his past training, when he struggled to hit targets with thrown weapons. Back then, Rina taught him a crucial lesson. Any object can become a weapon if you understand its center of gravity. Applying that knowledge now, Subaru begins launching needles with precision. Huger watches in amazement as Subaru fully exploits the tower's mechanics, something most participants overlook. The items do not disappear until the test ends, allowing Subaru to turn the battlefield itself into a weapon. His combination of swordsmanship and precise throwing techniques impresses Huger, who acknowledges him as far more than just a genius. Unable to withstand the poison any longer, the Goblin King collapses. Seizing the moment, Subaru retrieves his sword and delivers the final blow. With this, Subaru becomes the first to clear all 50 stages of the tutorial. He levels up, earns achievement points, and unlocks access to the exclusive tutorial shop. Surprised, Subaru explores the shop and learns that he can exchange his points for various items, ranging from basic equipment to rare-ranked weapons. While browsing, he considers a powerful sword with immense attack capability, but it consumes health. He then looks at a magic sword with balanced attributes, weighing whether to prioritize raw power or safety. Realizing the importance of his first investment, he carefully continues searching. As he scrolls further, he discovers a unique skill with an extraordinary effect. It can suppress the side effects of skills and items used by the user. Recognizing its potential, especially for mitigating his lightning-related drawbacks, Subaru immediately purchases the skill, Wedge of Greed. He also acquires a weapon called the Less Magic Sword, noting their strong compatibility. Rather than relying on brute force alone, Subaru chooses a more strategic approach. Huger observes his choices and praises the synergy between the skill and the weapon. However, as an examiner, he cannot fully understand Subaru's reasoning. Curious, he questions him, but Subaru refuses to explain, responding with a confident and slightly arrogant attitude that irritates Huger. Despite this, Huger chooses to remain composed and let it pass. In truth, Subaru recognizes Huger from the past. When Huger was younger, he once admired Subaru and even asked for his autograph. With no official signature to give, Subaru simply wrote his name in Huji's book. Now, seeing how much Huger has changed, Subaru can't help but smile at the contrast, including the noticeable difference in his hair. When Subaru requests that his results remain confidential, Huger sighs but agrees, even though he suspects Subaru is relying on knowledge beyond what a typical participant would have. Impressed, Huger invites Subaru to join his chivalry guild, but Subaru immediately declines. Without wasting any more time, Subaru decides to proceed to the second floor. Huger attempts to stop him, but Subaru ignores the warning, leaving Huger disappointed. In the next moment, Subaru is transported to the second floor, the land of beginnings, filled with adventurers starting their journeys. Standing there once again, Subaru realizes he has been given a rare opportunity, a second chance at everything. This time, he is determined to do things differently. For the sake of the comrades who may still be waiting, and for the revenge he swore to achieve, Subaru prepares to climb the tower once more, stronger and smarter than ever before. Subaru heads straight to a private training facility where players can practice individually, test new skills, and evaluate their equipment. At the reception, an elderly attendant asks which floor Subaru came from. Upon learning that he has just arrived on the second floor, the old man recommends training ground number 1, a beginner-friendly area with a simple straw dummy. However, Subaru ignores the suggestion and chooses training ground number 5 instead. This immediately worries the attendant, who tries to warn him about the difficulty, but Subaru remains firm in his decision. Realizing he cannot change his mind, the old man reluctantly allows it. Subaru pays 50 credits to rent the area for 30 minutes and leaves, while the attendant mutters that whatever happens next will be Subaru's own responsibility. With over 10,000 credits remaining, Subaru understands that higher-numbered training grounds come with significantly greater difficulty. That's why others view him with suspicion, a rookie with no proper equipment attempting something far beyond his level. Upon entering training ground number 5, Subaru begins immediately. He draws his nameless magic sword, which recognizes him as its user. The weapon temporarily boosts all of his stats, but at the cost of his health and mental energy. Fortunately, thanks to the Wedge of Greed skill, part of that loss is recovered, allowing him to wield the sword. Even so, the skill's level is still too low to fully suppress the sword's backlash. Subaru's fatigue rises, and his body begins to strain. Despite this, he remains calm, recognizing that the damage is still within acceptable limits. Determined to improve, Subaru invests all 10,000 of his remaining credits into upgrading the skill. With its enhanced level, Wedge of Greed can now effectively counter the sword's negative effects. As a result, Subaru gains far better control, and the weapon's power becomes significantly more manageable. With everything prepared, Subaru charges forward to test his strength. Meanwhile, the old attendant, who had been dozing off, suddenly senses something unusual. Moments later, Subaru returns. Confused, the old man wonders if he is imagining things. To confirm, he checks the training ground, only to find that training room number 5 has been completely destroyed. Afterward, Subaru returns to his rented inn to rest. His body remains stiff from the intense strain, but the results are undeniable. Without the skill, his current physical condition would not have allowed him to even hold the sword properly. The synergy between the sword and wedge of greed proves to be extremely effective, and Subaru begins to consider how well it might pair with his lightning abilities. However, there is one problem. He has no credits left to further upgrade his skills. Having died once, he lost everything he previously owned. As he thinks about ways to earn more credits, he notices someone behaving foolishly yet earning money with surprising ease. Curious, Subaru looks into it and discovers the concept of live streaming, a system where individuals broadcast in real time and receive donations from viewers. Realizing its potential, he begins researching it further. At that moment, Isaac approaches him. Subaru's body instinctively tenses as he recognizes him, the same person who used to beat him, steal his credits, and force him to live in a trash can. Isaac arrogantly boasts about his talent, proudly mentioning how he cleared 20 stages and surpassed his father's record. He then orders Subaru to buy him a coffee. This time, however, Subaru refuses without hesitation. Isaac is visibly angered by the rejection, but Subaru has no intention of wasting time on him. Focused on his goals, he attempts to leave. But Isaac, unwilling to let it go, provokes a fight, pushing Subaru's patience to its limit and igniting his anger once again. Isaac knows he cannot cause a public disturbance due to his father's reputation, so he disguises the situation as a light-hearted exchange between friends. He mocks Subaru, claiming that someone with such low-level skills barely passing the tutorial has no right to challenge him. In truth, Isaac is irritated that Subaru even showed the intention to fight back, believing he has the power to completely crush him through his family's influence. In the end, Isaac leaves without escalating the situation further. In this world, there are two primary ways for players to grow stronger. The first is by taking the tower's exams and earning rewards while climbing toward the top. This is the safer method, as players spend credits to enter, ensuring that even if they fail, they only lose progress and resources, not their lives. The second method is far more dangerous, hunting monsters outside safe zones or clearing special dungeons on each floor. This path offers faster growth, but the risk is absolute. If a player dies, there is no second chance. With no credits left, Subaru is forced to take the dangerous route. He heads to the dungeon nest of the lurking orcs, confident that creatures at this level pose little threat to him. After clearing the first wave, Subaru briefly checks the internet and discovers multiple streamers using the name Narigami Subaru to gain attention and earn credits. Although he is displeased to see others using his identity, he cannot ignore the fact that they are earning significant rewards, while he is risking his life for far less. Putting that aside, Subaru resumes fighting as more orcs appear. Taking advantage of their numbers, he quickly pushes forward, defeats the boss, and clears the dungeon efficiently. Realizing the potential of live streaming, Subaru decides to wear his mask once again and start broadcasting himself. After all, he is the real Narigami Subaru. The scene then shifts to Soten Entertainment, where Hatsuka is visibly frustrated while watching a fake Narigami Subaru perform meaningless content for views. Her co-worker, Sagan, tries to calm her down, pointing out that such streamers still generate revenue. However, Hatsuka cannot accept it. Subaru was the very reason she began climbing the tower, and after his death, she lost her motivation and eventually joined the entertainment industry instead. While browsing, she comes across a new streamer wearing Subaru's mask, someone with no viewers, quietly exploring the second floor. Unlike others, this alone catches her attention, as most streamers avoid such low-level areas. For some reason, she feels compelled to keep watching. Meanwhile, Subaru begins his stream with the goal of clearing the second floor exam. Though the challenge itself is not particularly difficult, he feels an unusual pressure, realizing that someone is actually watching him. As he moves through the dungeon, he starts interacting with his viewer, responding to questions in real time. Suddenly, a monster lunges at him, but Subaru reacts instantly, defeating it with ease, marking the beginning of his journey as both a player and a streamer. Subaru earns achievement points based on the number of monsters he defeats, so he immediately sets out to eliminate as many as possible. Thanks to his sharp reflexes and efficient combat style, his stream quickly gains attention, reaching 3 viewers in a short time. One viewer suggests that he should attempt the dungeon with a team, but Subaru chooses to proceed solo. This decision makes him the subject of light mockery in the chat. However, as he continues forward, he encounters another monster and defeats it effortlessly without even breaking his pace. This only deepens the viewer's curiosity. No matter how many monsters attack him, Subaru eliminates them with ease. As his performance continues, more viewers join, and the count rises to 10. One viewer asks how he is able to fight so effectively, but Subaru's explanation is vague and unhelpful, leaving everyone confused. Despite his steady progress, Subaru feels it still isn't enough to meet his goal. Eventually, he discovers a large swarm of monsters sleeping on the ceiling. The viewers immediately assume this will be the end for him. One of them even issues a challenge: defeat all of them to earn 100 credits. Accepting the challenge without hesitation, Subaru swiftly wipes out the entire group in a matter of moments. His performance leaves both Sagan and Hatsuka stunned as they watch the stream. Even Shigeru, in the past, had once remarked on how unpredictable and refined Subaru's swordsmanship was. Yet Subaru casually claims that anyone with proper awareness could do the same. Continuing his advance, Subaru keeps defeating monsters while repeating his unclear explanations, which only confuses the viewers further. After clearing the area, the viewer who issued the challenge tells him to claim the reward. However, Subaru doesn't even know how to receive donations. The viewers guide him through the process, and he finally collects the credits. By now, his stream has grown to 20 viewers. With momentum on his side, Subaru heads toward the final stage of the dungeon. Meanwhile, Hatsuka is highly impressed by his performance and considers scouting him for her company. However, Sagan advises against it, arguing that Subaru is still just a new and unproven streamer. Unwilling to give up, Hatsuka suggests they continue watching before making a final decision. Back in the dungeon, Subaru opens the door to the final chamber, where the boss awaits, the wolf warrior, Greg. To advance to the next floor, Subaru must earn this guardian's approval. Unlike ordinary monsters, this entity is not meant to be hunted, but to evaluate those who have cleared the dungeon and determine whether they are worthy to proceed. At that moment, another viewer issues a high-stakes challenge: defeat the wolf warrior in exchange for 3,000 credits. The wolf warrior is surprised to see that Subaru has entered the chamber alone. Using its heightened senses, it analyzes Subaru's presence and detects something unusual. Because wolf warriors can perceive a person's essence through scent, it immediately acknowledges Subaru's strength and grants him permission to proceed without a fight. This shocks the viewers, as it is the first time in history that the wolf warrior has allowed someone to pass without combat. Even in Subaru's previous life, such a situation had never occurred. However, Subaru refuses to move forward. He explains that he intends to fight, as he has accepted a mission tied to defeating the wolf warrior. Hearing this, the wolf warrior praises him as a true warrior, and the battle begins. Meanwhile, at Soten Entertainment, Hatsuka and Sagan meet with the department head, John Tail, to discuss scouting Subaru. John dismisses the idea, pointing out that Subaru only has around 20 viewers and is still too small to consider. Instead, he suggests that Hatsuka focus on her own streaming career. Just then, Hatsuka interrupts him, revealing that Subaru's viewer count has already climbed to 40. This only irritates John further, while Sagan attempts to calm the situation. Back in the dungeon, Subaru draws his sword and activates his buffs without hesitation. The wolf warrior charges, and the two clash head-on. Subaru is pushed back by the creature's overwhelming strength, realizing that brute force alone will not be enough to win. He retreats, but the wolf warrior quickly closes the distance, taunting him for his weakness. Despite the pressure, Subaru maintains his composure, holding his ground and keeping the viewers engaged, though some are convinced he is about to lose. Sensing an opportunity to end the fight, the wolf warrior prepares a full power attack and corners Subaru. However, Subaru does not attempt to dodge. Instead, he remains still, having already analyzed the attack pattern. Recognizing that the wolf warrior follows a predictable sequence, he times his counter perfectly. In a single decisive move, Subaru defeats the wolf warrior. Before fading, the Guardian acknowledges Subaru's strength once more. With the victory, Subaru levels up and earns 500 achievement points. The viewers are stunned. Defeating the wolf warrior solo, and on the first attempt, is something rarely seen. His viewer count continues to rise, reaching 56. Thanks to the mission reward, Subaru now has over 3,000 credits. As the door to the next floor opens, in front of Subaru, 13 different trials appear. This revelation shocks the viewers yet again, as only 16 trials are known to exist, and most players are offered no more than 2. Without hesitation, Subaru chooses the Trial of Thunder, continuing his path as the wielder of lightning. Back at Soden Entertainment, the mood shifts dramatically. The same people who doubted him are now impressed by his potential. Hatsuka highlights the rapidly increasing viewer count, insisting that Subaru is a rare talent worth investing in. Even so, John remains cautious. He argues that Subaru is still just a rookie streamer on the second floor, making him a risky choice. He agrees to the scouting proposal, but only on one condition. Subaru must successfully acquire the power of thunder. After all, the only person who has ever achieved that feat was the original Narigami Subaru. Confident in her judgment, Hatsuka firmly believes that this Subaru possesses the very same potential. The Trial of Thunder begins, and almost immediately, an unexpected boss-level monster appears, the Giant's Fragment. This confuses both Subaru and the viewers, as this creature is not supposed to show up until much later in the trial. Reacting quickly, Subaru tells the other players to retreat while he handles the situation alone. Drawing on his past life experience, he knows that despite its intimidating presence, the Giant's Fragment is actually weaker than the wolf warrior Greg and poses no real threat to him. Subaru activates his nameless magic sword, sacrificing his health to significantly boost his stats. At the same time, his Wedge of Greed skill suppresses the weapon's backlash, allowing him to fight at full efficiency. With this powerful combination, Subaru swiftly defeats the Giant's Fragment and clears Stage 4. The viewers are left stunned, flooding the chat with reactions. As a result of his victory, Subaru levels up 3 times and earns 4,000 achievement points. He also obtains 2 rare items, the Giant's Heart, a ring that increases vitality by 2, and Thunder Roar, a rare armor that boosts defense by 5 and negates status effects. Following this display, multiple viewers begin posting high-reward missions, offering large amounts of credits just to see Subaru use Thunder. The total value of these missions quickly exceeds 20,000 credits. This is largely due to the legacy of the original Narigami Subaru, whose signature ability was Thunder, creating a strong emotional connection among the audience. Subaru quietly thanks his viewers and promises to demonstrate Thunder soon. At the same time, he begins to realize that his existence may be even more significant than he initially believed. Soon after, Subaru encounters Sir Pelus, the captain of the village knights. Pelus explains that giant attacks have become increasingly frequent, placing the village in grave danger. He reveals that they have located the giant chieftain's lair and, in a moment of desperation, kneels before Subaru, asking for his help. Although Subaru remembers from his past life that Pelus is destined to die in the next stage, he still agrees to assist. With that, Stage 5, Survival, begins. Subaru joins Pelus and the knights as they advance toward the giant chieftain. Upon locating the target, Pelus volunteers to draw its attention while Subaru attacks from behind. However, Subaru senses something is off and immediately stops him. Moments later, the giant chieftain summons an entire horde of giants. The group is quickly overwhelmed as the battlefield descends into chaos. One by one, soldiers begin to fall, and the situation spirals into a complete disaster. Realizing the danger, Pelus urgently orders everyone to retreat toward the base of the mountain. The battlefield descends into complete chaos as the giant horde overwhelms the knights and soldiers. Pelus urgently shouts for everyone to retreat, telling them to return to their families and the village. He reassures them that this is not the end. They can regroup and try again. However, when Subaru makes no move to retreat, Peluz is left confused and demands an explanation. Subaru calmly tells him that he cannot fight freely while protecting someone else. If Peluz insists on staying, then they will both die. Though reluctant to abandon an ally, Peluz realizes the truth in Subaru's words. After a brief hesitation, he agrees to withdraw, promising to gather the remaining soldiers and asking Subaru to hold out until then. Subaru simply thanks him, and Peluz runs off, urging him to stay alive. Now alone, Subaru stands against the entire giant horde. The viewers erupt in the comments, calling his decision reckless and questioning why he sent everyone away. One viewer points out that the final score depends on how many soldiers survive, suggesting that survival alone is not the true objective. Subaru reflects on this and realizes that, with his current strength, he might be able to change the outcome, including saving Peluz, who was originally destined to die in this stage. With that resolve, Subaru charges into the horde, defeating giants one after another using the nameless magic sword. Each defeat earns him achievement points, but he understands the real challenge is not the enemies themselves. It is how long he can sustain the sword's power before reaching his limit. Amid the chaos, he focuses on maintaining his vision and locating the true target. After pushing through countless enemies, Subaru finally spots the giant chieftain. Without hesitation, he launches himself toward it, knowing that if he fails to end the fight quickly, he will not survive. Putting everything on the line, Subaru unleashes thunder for the first time in his new life. A powerful surge of lightning erupts across the battlefield, striking the giant chieftain with overwhelming force. However, the attack is not enough to finish it. The two clash at close range, exchanging heavy blows. Subaru takes significant damage, but he refuses to fall back. With sheer determination, he pushes through and delivers the final strike, defeating the giant chieftain and clearing Stage 5, Survival. The system recognizes this as an extraordinary achievement. As a reward, Subaru levels up twice and gains increased stats. The viewers are left in complete disbelief. Comments flood in, questioning how he managed to defeat something that was never meant to be cleared. Some even remark that this feels like a moment straight out of a protagonist's story. But the battle is not over yet. Even after clearing the stage, the monsters do not disappear until the exam fully ends, a mechanic Subaru himself once exploited in his past life. At the same time, his Wedge of Greed skill can no longer fully suppress the burden of the nameless magic sword. His strength is rapidly fading. With the remaining giants closing in and his energy nearly depleted, Subaru gathers what little power he has left and unleashes thunder one final time to break through the encroaching horde. Shigeru and Rina are spending a quiet moment together on a porch. Rina is scrolling through her phone while Shigeru seems deep in thought, mentioning that they likely have about a year left before events come to a head. It's almost time to end things. Their calm setting, however, is underlined by tension, hinting at the constant pressure of hiding as surviving members of Blue Eyes while being hunted by Itsuki. The mood shifts when Shigeru notices what Rina is watching. She tells him it's a streamer going by the name Subaru. Shigeru reacts with visible shock, quickly grabbing her phone to take a look. Rina reassures him that it's just a rookie using the Narigami name on the second-floor trial, not the real Subaru. Shigeru relaxes slightly but continues watching, insisting he's just killing time. His reaction makes it clear that the name still hits close to home, given his history with the original Subaru. Back in the tower, the system announces that Subaru has gained 2,000 achievement points for clearing Stage 5. The comments section explodes as viewers call the fight insane, noting that defeating the giant boss is precisely how the skill Thunder is acquired. Thunder is officially confirmed as a rank A+ skill, consuming stamina and magic power, and can be leveled up by collecting fragments of Thunder. Subaru quietly reminds himself that surviving counts as a victory. Donations start pouring in from viewers, bringing his total credits to 29,150. He thanks everyone before resuming the trial. In the next stage, Subaru spends 20,000 credits to upgrade Wedge of Self-Denial, which now allows him to channel Thunder precisely within his body. He directs the energy into his hand and transfers it straight into the nameless magic sword, taking down the next wave of monsters with ease. Subaru admits he slightly underestimated the scale of the challenge, but manages it well and continues pushing forward. Meanwhile, Peluz finally arrives with reinforcements, only to discover that Subaru has already defeated all the giants alone and has collapsed from exhaustion. Elsewhere, Hatsuka panics after sending Subaru a business contact message and being left on read. She reminds John of their earlier scouting deal, arguing that since Subaru acquired Thunder, the conditions are now officially met. John agrees that Subaru is worth keeping a close eye on. By the end of the stage, the entire Soten Entertainment team is glued to the stream, captivated by Subaru's performance. A specialized streamer known as Hawkeye, a combat analyst famous for breaking down the skills of top players like Kurikawa Amon and even Itsuki Kyuju, starts a live broadcast to analyze the rookie Subaru, who has been the talk of the tower. Some viewers are skeptical in the comments, calling Subaru a salary thief and questioning why a second-floor player is worth covering. However, Hawkeye is completely captivated by the combat footage. He praises Subaru's inhuman focus, highlighting how he controlled the newly acquired Thunder skill to channel precisely the necessary amount into his sword without wasting any power. Hawkeye concludes that Subaru made zero mistakes during the fight and boldly claims that his technical control might already surpass the original Naragami Subaru in his prime, leaving the audience in the comments section stunned. Back in the tower, Subaru is in the stage waiting room, recovering from fatigue, when he notices his viewer count has spiked to 742. He apologizes to the viewers and ends the stream, planning to take a day off before the next broadcast. Checking his messages, he finds a scouting request from Hatsuka at Soten Entertainment, promising the industry's highest profit margins. Subaru is surprised by how much the entertainment industry has changed since his past life. Looking up Hawkeye, he discovers the analyst is also affiliated with Soten, and he is genuinely pleased with the blunt, straightforward analysis, especially the comparisons being made between him and the original Naragami Subaru. Subaru's mood takes a sudden turn when he runs into Isaac again. Isaac spills his coffee, taunting Subaru for always being broke and demanding payment for a replacement. When Subaru tries to ignore him, Isaac turns and grabs Subaru, threatening to harm him as he did the previous Hasoi Subaru. This time, however, Subaru handles it effortlessly. He catches Isaac's hand mid-swing, leaving the bully stunned. Calmly, Subaru tells him to consider the debt settled and walks away without a second glance. Isaac is left both shocked and furious, already scheming revenge for being dismissed so easily. Once outside, Subaru replies to Hatsuka's scouting message. Subaru enters the final boss room of the banished Lizardman's hideout with his level 3 wedge of self-desire active, carefully managing the recoil of the nameless magic sword. He admits to himself that he is slowly getting used to this weaker body, though he still can't fight as cleanly as he did in his past life. When the salamander boss appears, shaking the entire room with a deafening roar, Subaru decides not to kill it immediately. Instead, he uses the encounter to test his maximum output, preparing for future trials. Channeling thunder into his feet, he shoots across the room like lightning, reappearing instantly behind the monster. The viewers in the stream explode in the comments. Subaru unleashes everything into a single sword strike. The skill fails to fully restrain the recoil, pushing his fatigue to 61, but the salamander is still obliterated. The dungeon clear triggers a level up along with stat boosts and strength. Checking the upgrade shop afterward, Subaru frowns. Raising Wedge of Self-Desire to rank 4 requires 40,000 credits, meaning he needs to find a way to earn a substantial amount quickly. At that moment, Subaru notices someone standing in front of him. It's none other than Isaac. With a smirk, Isaac remarks that he can't believe Subaru is out hunting, especially considering how long they've known each other. Meanwhile, at Soten Entertainment, Hawkeye meets with department head John. Hawkeye candidly states that after analyzing Subaru's footage, he believes the rookie might actually surpass the original Naragami Subaru at his prime. He suggests scouting Subaru and teaming up to grow his profile and bring in more viewers, highlighting the rookie's extraordinary potential. Back in the dungeon, this time, Isaac isn't just being his usual annoying self. He's genuinely furious, and the personal nature of his anger becomes clear. Isaac's father was once a powerful figure until the original Naragami Subaru humiliated him in a 30-second duel, destroying his reputation and shaming the entire family. Isaac's eyes glow red as he screams at Subaru for using the Narigami name to gain views and credits, vowing to erase him just as his father was ruined. Subaru, however, remains completely calm, meeting Isaac's rage with the same focused composure he uses against dungeon bosses. It's obvious, this confrontation will not be resolved with words alone. Isaac glares at Subaru, seething over the old hatred he harbored for the original Narigami Co. He recalls how everyone treated the former Blue Eyes leader as special, though he never agreed. Isaac feels satisfaction knowing that Blue Eyes eventually collapsed, believing he is now facing the consequences of his actions. Locking eyes with Subaru, he declares that the moment Subaru adopted the Narigami name, his luck ran out. Without warning, Isaac unleashes a massive wave of fire, pretending it was an accident and joking about taking out the masked streamer next. When the smoke clears, Isaac is stunned to see Subaru unharmed. Irritated, Subaru snaps, criticizing Isaac for speaking badly about his former guild. He moves with lightning speed, striking Isaac hard and sending him to the ground. While Isaac struggles to rise, Subaru calmly asks a simple question. Who does Isaac think he's facing? The former crybaby Hasoi Ko, the masked streamer Narigami Ko, or the legendary Blue Eyes guild leader himself? Isaac refuses to believe any of it, dismissing Subaru's words as nonsense. Acting tough, he declares that thunder is a worthless skill and that learning it somehow proves his superiority over the original Ko. In desperation, he unleashes his aura for a final powerful attack. Subaru watches without flinching, coldly telling him that his answer is wrong and marveling at Isaac's consistent errors. Subaru's eyes go icy as he reminds Isaac of how much the previous Hasoi Ko suffered under his bullying. Declaring that playtime is over, he delivers a brutal sword strike, defeating Isaac, finally paying for all he did. With Isaac dealt with, Subaru heads to a cafe to meet Hatsuka, where onlookers mock him for sitting there in a mask, questioning his pride. But the mask is practical. It hides his identity from enemies and allows him to continue his path of revenge safely. Hatsuka arrives, stunned to meet him in person, revealing that she has been Subaru's first viewer and recounting all his accomplishments in detail without missing a single point. To secure Subaru professionally, she presents the contract and summarizes it. Their company will handle everything, from commercials and event highlights to merchandising and branding. In return, Subaru only needs to keep streaming, leveraging the influence he has already built. Subaru is impressed by her professionalism and asks if all Soden employees are like her. Hatsuka misinterprets his question as criticism, becoming embarrassed as she clarifies that the company has many capable workers, but she personally begged John to handle Subaru because she is a fan. Subaru, focused on growing stronger to face future opponents, decides to trust her and agrees to work with the company. Hatsuka beams with excitement as she finally shakes hands with Subaru, feeling triumphant in securing him as a talent. Subaru begins Stage 6, known as Legend, and the moment he starts the live stream, over 700 viewers join instantly, leaving him amazed at the reach of the entertainment company and Hatsuka's early promotion. Inside the stage, Peluz and the Knights are holding a strategy meeting in a tent. Peluz mentions Subaru, the benefactor who single-handedly defeated all the giants. But some knights doubt his abilities, as Subaru is just a mysterious outsider to them. While they argue, Subaru arrives at the tent, pleasing Peluz but drawing skeptical glances from certain knights. Overhearing their doubts, Subaru confidently confronts them. Back at the cafe, Hatsuka explains to Subaru how to control the microphone, allowing him to choose which voices the viewers hear, a feature especially useful in tense or boring situations. With renewed confidence, Subaru engages with the doubtful knights, earning their attention. Suddenly, a knight named Dale approaches and informs Subaru of a monstrous threat that has crushed entire villages, far more dangerous than the boss he previously defeated. Dale explains that these are remnants of the true Titans, legendary beings who once waged war against the gods before being sealed away. Even Dale is visibly terrified, and the viewers react with shock at the unprecedented difficulty. Subaru, unfazed, declares he will simply defeat the monster. To guide him, Peluz recounts an ancient legend about the Thunder Shard hidden on Millennium Mountain, believing Subaru to be the only one capable of finding it. Subaru sets off toward the mountain, spotting the legendary giants destroying villages in pursuit of him. He realizes the monster's lineage, its connection to the boss he previously defeated, and begins exploring, thinking that locating the Thunder Shard may be the true purpose of this trial. The viewers speculate he will need at least 2 attempts to succeed, but Subaru confidently mutters his old catchphrase, "There's no trial I can't clear." Though most viewers don't catch it, the phrase inspires them to post missions with generous credit rewards, pleasing Subaru. Finally, he reaches the location tied to the legend. Dismounting from his horse, he recalls Pelusa's warning. No one knows if the Thunder Shard is an object or a person, and its method of acquisition is unknown. One thing is clear: long ago, someone wielded the Thunder Shard to completely defeat the Titans. Meanwhile, Hatsuka returns home and reports to Department Head John about the success of Subaru's recruitment, both of them thrilled. She then checks the stream and freezes in surprise, hearing Subaru utter the same catchphrase the original Narigami Subaru used 20 years ago. Back in the stage, Subaru channels thunder into his fist, leaving the viewers puzzled about his next move. He senses an immense surge of thunder energy, strongly resonating with his own, coming from just beyond a massive gate. Determined to reach it, Subaru begins punching the gate relentlessly, believing the real trial may lie behind it. After a few powerful strikes, the gate finally opens, but nothing emerges. The viewers urge Subaru to step inside, and he silently does so. The system notifies him that he has entered the pathway of thunder, though he cannot fully proceed until the stage is cleared. Meanwhile, at the tent, Peluz and the Knights are still in a strategy meeting. Dale asks Peluz if he truly believes Subaru can obtain the Thunder Shard. Peluz, confident in Subaru's abilities after witnessing his previous feats, reassures him. Suddenly, one knight breaks down in fear after glimpsing the approaching Titans, unable to comprehend Peluz's encouragement. And another knight bursts into the tent, reporting the imminent arrival of enemy giants, leaving everyone terrified and shocked. Back inside the stage, Subaru continues forward without encountering any monsters. Both he and the viewers realize that the trial cannot be seen with the naked eye. Relying on his sixth sense, Subaru experiments by infusing a stone with thunder and throwing it, discovering invisible lightning dispersed throughout the air. The deeper he goes, the stronger the reaction becomes. Subaru realizes that this trial is a test of endurance, and failure here could be fatal. The comment section erupts with missions urging him to acquire the thunder, while a cautious viewer warns him to turn back or risk losing his own power. Despite this, Subaru continues, thanking the viewers for their missions. At the same time, Shigeru secretly watches Subaru's livestream. When Rina enters the room, he tries to hide it and concocts a lie to get her to leave, which she eventually does. Shigeru is struck by how similar this Subaru's movements and speech are to the Subaru he knows, the only difference being his drive to earn credits. Shigeru wonders if Subaru will ever forget them, feeling a mix of nostalgia and curiosity. His thoughts are abruptly interrupted when he realizes, to his shock, that Rina has caught him watching the live stream. Subaru begins walking down the Thunder Road after the system instructs him to clear the newly revealed route. Having dealt with lightning extensively in his past life, the intense energy coursing through his body feels strangely familiar. His progress ticks slowly to 3.2%, signaling that this is going to be a long and grueling journey, but at least the goal is clear. The live chat immediately floods with confused and panicked comments, viewers asking why he is walking instead of running and begging him to hurry. Subaru reads the messages but realizes that his condition will soon make it impossible to keep up with the chat, so he directs all his focus entirely on the trial. Meanwhile, Hawkeye watches the live stream as John discusses future plans and a possible collaboration with Narigami Co. John explains that a streamer's own effort accounts for only half of their success. The rest depends on the era's top players. He sees Co as a blazing comet and wants the agency to ride that momentum. Hawkeye quietly reflects on his own past, admitting that he became an analyst because he never had the confidence to actually climb the tower himself. Back at home, Hatsuko watches the stream from her bed as the chat explodes with viewers questioning Subaru's actions and calling him insane. In the trial, Subaru pushes his body to the limit, absorbing the lightning energy around him and channeling it through his body's core pathways to refine his weak vessel from the inside. The process is excruciatingly painful, but it works. By the time his progress reaches 20%, his magic power permanently increases. As progress hits 50%, the pain begins dredging up buried memories of his old guild, forcing Subaru to reflect on how his overconfidence back then may have contributed to their tragic fate. Subaru suddenly finds himself surrounded by the faces of his old guild members: Kei, Iori, Shigeru, Rina, Shuhei, Suya, and Chino. For a brief moment, he hopes his regression was just a dream, but their expressions quickly turn cold as they begin blaming him for their deaths. Chino cries out, asking why Subaru didn't protect him and saying he didn't want to die. Desperate, Subaru reaches out, begging them to wait, then suddenly wakes up, gasping for air. He realizes it was a hallucination caused by opening the fine vessels, which nearly broke his mind completely. The system shows 97.87% progress and confirms that his magic power has increased by 1. Subaru smiles faintly, thanking whoever designed the trial for reminding him why he's still alive. Outside the trial, chaos erupts in the village as the Titans finally appear, sending knights and villagers into a panic. One knight complains that Subaru ran away, but Pelu stands firm, scolding anyone who doubted the person they entrusted to protect their village. He tells them that true knights defend others rather than waiting to be saved, inspiring everyone to stand strong. Back in the trial, Subaru's progress reaches 99%, and his fatigue hits 97%, with the system warning him to stop. Ignoring it, he presses on. Meanwhile, in the village, Pelus and Dale manage to kill a giant beast. The villagers cheer, thinking the danger is over, but Dale turns pale, warning them that this was nothing. Suddenly, a massive titan emerges from the mountain, plunging everyone back into despair. Subaru finally reaches 100% progress, quietly vowing to apologize to his fallen guild members and promising to take down Itsuki as a gift for them. The fine vessels fully open, boosting all stats dramatically. Magic power is amplified by 20%, all skill speeds increase by 20%, and all base stats rise by 2. The immense power, however, overwhelms his weak body, muttering that the system could have at least warned him. Stage 6, Legend is officially cleared. At Soden Entertainment, Hawkeye tells John that he's been watching Naragami-ko's stream and is convinced the rookie is on track to become a major star, both as a player and a streamer. John admits he initially thought it might be difficult, since Subaru seems more like a pure player than a content creator. Hawkeye explains that this is exactly why the audience is captivated. Viewers want to witness the birth of a player like the original Naragami Subaru, and Subaru embodies that perfectly. Back on stage, the chat explodes with comments praising Subaru for surviving and moving at incredible speed. Subaru checks his status and feels relieved seeing his fatigue drop to 81 thanks to his stat increases. With the mission complete, he accepts the credits, but discovers that upgrading Wedge of Greed to the next level requires 40,000 credits. Short on funds, he decides to rely on a special item instead, the Lightning Spear, an untradeable legendary weapon with only one powerful strike left. The chat is filled with questions, as the weapon doesn't even resemble a typical spear. Subaru recalls from his past life that high-rank items can shift shapes depending on conditions, and seeing one of these was rare even on the 8th floor. Meanwhile, in the village, a terrified knight begs mercy from the giant King Grorig Seed, calling it a deity. The giant scoffs at being compared to humans and demands to know who killed his son. Pelus lies, pointing in a random direction, but the giant sees through it instantly and threatens the villagers. He orders Dale to lead the civilians to safety, but Dale quickly realizes there's nowhere to run. They are already surrounded by the remnants of the giants. The system announces the start of Stage 7, Lightning. Subaru knows he needs just one clean hit to finish the giant before it can strike. He begins charging the lightning spear, generating a massive pillar of electrical energy. As the charge reaches 10%, his fatigue rises to 84, and Wedge of Greed struggles to handle the recoil, reducing the strike's power. By 50%, fatigue jumps to 80, but Subaru grits his teeth and pushes forward. Viewers comment that the attack is far too flashy to miss. The giant notices the gathering lightning and realizes Subaru is the one who killed his son, Paidao. Peluz bravely steps forward, shouting that he is the true opponent, but the giant ignores him entirely, locking its gaze on Subaru and swearing to avenge his son tenfold. The lightning spear reaches 88% startup, and Subaru realizes his chances of hitting the giant are roughly 50-50. Viewers flood the chat, panicking and warning that missing would mean instant death. Subaru keeps his eyes locked on the target, telling himself not to look away. Reflecting on his past life, he reminds himself that normal spear throwing is about angles and distance, but none of that matters here. At 95%, he decides not to simply throw it, but to unleash the attack with everything he has. The chat continues to panic, urging him to hurry before it's too late. When the startup finally hits 100%, Subaru fires the lightning spear, sending a massive wave of electricity straight towards the giant. The chat erupts in shock and excitement. He not only pulled it off, but survived. The system announces that he cleared Stage 7, Lightning. Subaru levels up 3 times, gaining Strength +2, Agility +2, Stamina +3, Focus +1, and Magic Power +1, along with 5,000 achievement points and a new item called the Heart of Thunder. Suddenly, Subaru finds himself in a strange dimension where his body freezes, leaving him unable to move or speak. Mysterious messages appear, warning that unknown entities are observing him and trying to reach him. A new main quest emerges, instructing him to search the village for clues using the Heart of Thunder. Later waking up and apologizing to the chat, while viewers laugh at his tendency to faint after exams. He collects his mission rewards, bringing his total credits to 40,120, and ends the stream, ignoring viewers begging to see the new item. Later, Hatsuka calls to congratulate him, revealing that his viewer count peaked at over 3,000, which surprises Subaru. He had been too focused on survival to notice. Hatsuka praises him for ending the stream on a cliffhanger, keeping viewers curious. Subaru explains he did it intentionally, so he could open the rewards on stream next time for a genuine reaction. Hatsuka is impressed by his foresight and tells him she has a special gift for him today, one he will not be able to refuse. Subaru watches Hawkeye's stream on his device, where the analyst is broadcasting to over 9,000 viewers, breaking down Subaru's brutal exam performance. Hawkeye points out that Subaru deliberately inflicted extra pain on himself on top of what the trial already demanded, and boldly concludes that this rookie is literally Narigami Subaru, leaving nothing more to add. Sitting across from him at the cafe, Hatsuka nervously asks why he even streams, wondering if it's just for the money. Subaru answers yes without hesitation, which makes Hatsuka sigh in relief and quickly apologize for asking. She then gets to the main topic, explaining that since Hawkeye has been with Blue Sky Agency for 6 years and his commentary streams are based on Subaru's content, all revenue, including ads and donations, will be split directly with Subaru. Subaru is genuinely pleased and tells Hatsuka that life has been full of good news since joining the agency. Hatsuka blushes and asks if he wants to officially work with Hawkeye. Subaru agrees immediately, seeing it as a chance to earn more money. Later, back at his inn, Subaru reflects on how difficult it is to hide his identity the more he meets with Hatsuka. He removes his mask and spends 40,000 credits to upgrade his Wedge of Greed skill to level 4, raising it to rank C. Seeing that the next upgrade costs 80,000 credits, he checks his balance, down to only 120 credits, and collapses onto his bed, reminding himself that money remains his top priority while looking forward to profits from the Hawkeye collaboration. He quietly thinks about how his old friends might hear his name before he's truly ready. Meanwhile, on the 7th floor of Nox Bella, Kurikawa Amon of the Blue Zone Guild is training when his teammate Ichiki shows him Hawkeye's stream. Amon is disgusted by streamers like Hawkeye, who he believes throw away their pride just for views. Ichiki tells him that Guild Master Itsuki personally ordered him to show the clip to Amon. Amon recalls the original Blue Eyes members, all incredibly strong, and remains suspicious of how they died. He also remembers the combat advice from the Blue Eyes Spear Knight Seiko Shuhei. Ichiki adds that there's a rumor the new masked streamer will do anything for money and that Itsuki has set a budget, ordering them to bring the new Subaru in no matter what. Amon is left completely shocked. The Layer 2 exam begins with Pelus organizing the villagers, gathering the injured in one place and distributing potions to those with minor wounds. Spotting Subaru, he rushes over, calling him their benefactor and expressing relief that he's finally awake. Pelus mentions how worried they were when Subaru collapsed outside the village, and Subaru admits he still feels dizzy. They agree to meet later at the inn. Subaru checks his stage reward and discovers an item called the Thunder Heart. The system classifies it as a bound unique growth item with no level requirement, granting 30% thunder resistance, 20% thunder attack. Some viewers debate its usefulness, but Subaru is thrilled, knowing it's perfect for a thunder user. Later, Pelus arrives at Subaru's room with a basket of fruits. Subaru shows Pelus the Thunder Heart and asks if he knows anything about it. Pelus admits he has no idea, but shares two old legends. The first tells of thunder being used to kill giants, making him think Subaru might be the hero of that story. The second describes a war between deities and giants over thunder, with the giants losing. Pelus speculates that the Thunder Heart might have been created intentionally to allow humans to fight back against beings far more powerful than themselves. At that moment, the system announces that Subaru has viewed all the forgotten human tales and officially cleared the Thunder Trial. His Thunder skill levels up to level 3 using his saved achievement points. Without warning, the system moves him to Layer 3, causing him to vanish right in front of a confused Pelus. Upon arriving on the 3rd floor, viewers immediately flood the chat with congratulations, triggering a past life memory. Subaru recalls the day he first met Rina when she was younger, having lost her party while searching for someone tall. He guided her in the right direction and offered to accompany her since he had nothing else planned. Rina happily agreed, and he introduced himself as Naragami Subaru. Back in the present, Subaru reflects on that day, wondering if things might have turned out differently had he just shown her the way and left. He questions whether his old friends are still alive. Answering the viewer's question, he admits he feels like he has lost something important, surprising everyone. Viewers jokingly ask if he's sad to leave Pelus, but Subaru ignores them, announcing that his next stream will be a collaboration with Hawkeye before ending the stream, leaving viewers complaining that it was far too short. Subaru waits in a room when John from Soten Entertainment arrives, apologizing for being late. He explains that Hatsuka is still on her way since traveling between floors takes much longer than going through trials. John introduces himself as the department head, noting that he usually communicates through Hatsuka but wanted to meet Subaru in person this time. He tells Subaru that Hatsuka is a notoriously harsh critic who has only ever highly praised 2 players in her career, the first being the legendary original Naragami Subaru of Blue Eyes, which makes John curious why she is now so interested in a rookie sharing the exact same name. Subaru laughs it off, claiming he has no idea. John then asks directly if Subaru has any interest in the old Blue Eyes Guild. Subaru visibly reacts, and John immediately notices, pointing out that Subaru is clearly not completely indifferent. John moves on to the main reason for the meeting, revealing that a major tournament will be held on the 3rd floor in 5 days, with a completely unexpected grand prize. The scene shifts to Shigeru and Rina, standing over the defeated bodies of several unknown attackers. Shigeru calmly says the fight is over, while Rina angrily asks why he was just standing there. He explains he was deciding whether to kill them or let them go. Rina insists they should be killed, as they already know who sent them, but Shigeru is unsure it was Itsuki, noting that he would never send such weak fighters. Even so, letting them go risks exposing their hiding place. Rina yells at him for his indecision, telling him he needs to be more ruthless to survive. Shigeru agrees and apologizes, then shows her the tournament details. Rina immediately recognizes the grand prize as Suya's shoes, relics belonging to their deceased Blue Eyes guildmate, and becomes furious. Shigeru explains that the shoes are clearly bait designed to lure out any surviving Blue Eyes members. Rina wants to retrieve the relic immediately, but Shigeru warns her to wait until the tournament concludes and quietly take the prize afterward. Rina reluctantly agrees. Back at the meeting, John presents Subaru with the tournament details, confirming that Blue Zone has put up a Blue Eyes relic as the prize, officially listed as Teleria. When John asks if he is interested, Subaru coldly replies that he is. John, pleased, explains his plan, since Subaru is already streaming under the Naragami name, Pursuing real Blue Eyes relics would make a compelling story for his channel. Subaru, furious internally, forces his anger down, puts on a fake smile, and agrees to the plan. John happily excuses himself, promising to cheer from behind the screen. Left alone, Subaru glares silently, swearing to himself that he will not let anyone else claim Suya's relic. Subaru is resting in his room, thinking about the upcoming tournament and hoping it will be a solo competition. Hatsuka suddenly shows up at his door and is surprised to see him wearing his mask even while relaxing alone. As she steps inside, Subaru senses the depth of her magic power and realizes she is far too strong to be just a regular manager. When she asks if something is wrong, he brushes it off and lets her speak. Hatsuka explains that the tournament will use a scramble format, confirming it is a solo competition where players fight over a single grand prize on a virtual trial stage. The entry fee is 1,000 credits, open to any floor 3 player, with no limit on participants. She also sends him some old Scramble tournament materials to review. Subaru opens the files and almost laughs, realizing they are all highlight reels and guides from the original Naragami Subaru's legendary undefeated Scramble runs, essentially himself. Keeping a straight face, he tells her he will use them as reference. Hatsuka hesitates before bringing up another point. Soden Entertainment received a direct message from Itsuki of Blue Zone, requesting a meeting with Subaru. She assumes they are planning a recruitment offer. Without hesitation, Subaru tells her to ignore it completely, saying he has no intention of joining Blue Zone or any other guild. Hatsuka bursts into celebration, relieved she doesn't have to hand him over to a rival company. Watching her reaction, Subaru is genuinely impressed, realizing she is exceptional for someone who appears to be a regular employee. The scene then shifts to a large venue rented for Subaru's collaboration with Hawkeye. John and Hawkeye are already there, discussing the main concept, an original versus new Naragami Subaru talent comparison test. John warns Hawkeye that making such a bold claim is risky, and losing would damage his reputation. Hawkeye confidently responds that he has never fought a losing battle and must accept the results to maintain viewers' trust. When Hatsuka and Subaru arrive, he is caught off guard by how much effort and resources went into what he thought would be a simple collab stream. The live broadcast begins, instantly drawing over 12,000 viewers. Hawkeye introduces Subaru, and the chat explodes with questions about his hidden face, asking if he is hiding something or if he is ugly. Subaru jokes, claiming he is actually very handsome, and casually admits he has no girlfriend and no friends at the moment, which visibly relieves Hatsuka. Hawkeye then kicks off the main event, selecting a trial that perfectly tests a player's control and will prove his theory about Subaru. A leaderboard appears, showing the original Naragami Subaru in first place with a score of 43, followed by big names like Hiles, Itsuki, and Shigeru. A viewer donates, asking if Subaru seriously thinks he can beat that score. Subaru cracks his knuckles and confidently replies that if he wasn't sure he could win, he never would have agreed to participate in the first place. A viewer drops a mission offering 10,000 credits if Subaru surpasses 43 kills in a single run, but adds a face reveal penalty if he fails. Other viewers quickly pile on more credits, all hoping to finally see his face. Hawkeye steps back, letting Subaru take the full reward and risk. Subaru accepts without hesitation, warning the chat that he has no plans to lose. The 3-minute trial timer starts. Subaru immediately activates his Thunder skill, securing his first kill in a single shot. Viewers are stunned that he performs so flawlessly without even using his cursed sword. As the timer counts down, the difficulty ramps up, but Subaru maintains an incredible pace. He dives into aerial combat, a style viewers instantly recognize as the original Naragami Subaru's signature specialty. Fans watch in disbelief as he flawlessly replicates the legendary player's movements. The kill count climbs rapidly, 26, 41, 42, with only 9 seconds left. With 1 second remaining, Subaru lands a final strike. The system announces 43 kills, and the leaderboard updates show a perfect tie between the original Naragami Subaru and the current one. The chat erupts, shocked that the rookie has matched the legendary, unbeatable record. As Subaru catches his breath, a 10,000 credit donation drops from a viewer named Reinhardt. Instantly recognized by the chat, as the famous one-strike swordsman and a well-known high ranker. Reinhardt praises Subaru's performance and publicly invites him to collaborate. Subaru quietly wonders why a high ranker is suddenly watching his stream and briefly worries if Reinhardt learned about the Isaac incident. Even so, he brushes it off and politely declines the collaboration, stating he wants to focus on his trials. He tells Hawkeye that he used too much energy and steps off camera to rest. Hawkeye chases after him, shocked, asking why he turned down such a rare opportunity. Subaru calmly asks if it is really that big of a deal, adding that if Hawkeye wants to be around rankers, he will just become one himself. After the stream ends, Hawkeye pulls Subaru aside, noting that something seemed slightly off in his movements and asking if he was injured or not in top condition. Subaru is genuinely impressed that Hawkeye noticed. Hawkeye deduces that Subaru deliberately aimed for a tie. He explains that an easy win would have made viewers move on quickly, while a loss would have discredited him as a fake. A perfect tie, however, maintained both the mystery and hype. Hawkeye asks if Subaru could have actually beaten the score if he had tried, and Subaru simply replies, "Who knows?" adding that the result cannot be changed now, and it is up to everyone else to interpret it as they wish. Reinhardt, the guild master of Gold Lion and the 121st ranked player, is furious after watching Hawkeye's stream end. He yells at his nervous subordinate, outraged that Subaru publicly turned down his collaboration offer. Reinhardt is livid because his plan to crush the rookie and silence the rumors about him has completely failed. He demands to know Isaac's whereabouts, and when the subordinate nervously reports that Isaac has been missing for several days, Reinhardt loses his temper, striking him and ordering him to find Isaac immediately. Meanwhile, John calls Hatsuka, who is standing just outside Subaru's room. She answers in a flat, lazy tone, immediately irritating John since she never speaks to him like that. John expresses his frustration over missing the big opportunity from Reinhardt's offer and asks her to try convincing Subaru once more. Hatsuka argues that focusing on climbing the tower rather than streaming events is the proper choice for a serious player and hangs up. Despite this, she decides to try anyway. Hatsuka enters Subaru's room and finds him still wearing his mask. Subaru explains that he simply feels more comfortable with it and jokingly asks if she wants to see his real face. Hatsuka quickly changes the subject, noting that the mask makes everyone associate him with the original Narigami Subaru. Subaru asks why people care so much about that person. Hatsuka explains that, when the tower first appeared and chaos reigned, the original Narigami gave people hope by proving that the trials could be beaten. Subaru asks if she feels that way too, but she only smiles mysteriously and says her feelings are a secret, just like his face. Her heart racing, she leaves quickly, deciding not to bring up collaborating with Reinhardt. Later, Subaru starts his next stream and immediately notices a huge jump in viewers and donations thanks to his collaboration with Hawkeye. High-ranking players from other guilds, including someone named Mondo from World Tree, join the chat, trying to scout him. Subaru ignores all of them and begins the Floor 3 trial, which requires him to pick a side between the Kingdom of Conrad and the Kingdom of Osman. While viewers urge him to side with the popular Osman faction, Subaru deliberately chooses Conrad, the path only 3% of players ever take, because he already knows what awaits him there. Arriving at Conrad's mercenary rest area, Subaru quickly runs into trouble. A B-rank mercenary named Vulture bumps into him intentionally, assuming he is a weak E-rank player, and threatens to kill him. Calmly, Subaru asks if he can test something, channels thunder into his legs, and kicks Vulture across the room in a flash of light. The other mercenaries charge him, but all are swiftly defeated. Once the chaos settles, a mysterious man approaches, acknowledges Subaru's strength, and introduces himself as Raymond, an A-rank examiner. Raymond asks Subaru how many jobs he has completed so far. Subaru knows that the standard Floor 3 trial requires players to finish mercenary jobs until they earn 10,000 achievement points. But since E-rank jobs only grant around 50 points each, most players end up stuck on this floor for over a year. Subaru realizes he cannot waste that much time and needs a faster approach. Raymond quickly notices Subaru's experience as a tower player and warns him that he cannot receive any special treatment. Subaru then surprises even himself by declaring that he wants to conquer Thunderclap Cavern and claim it for the Kingdom of Conrad. the only way to clear the trial in a single attempt. Raymond is completely shocked. He explains that Thunderclap Cavern is a legendary dungeon no one has ever cleared, and that the two kingdoms have been fighting over the mountain range it sits in for decades. He warns Subaru that only A-rank mercenaries and above are even allowed to attempt it. Undeterred, Subaru asks Raymond for A-rank credentials and promises not to misuse them. Raymond realizes that refusing could cause more problems and agrees to write a letter of recommendation for Subaru to join the official raid party, leaving in 5 days. The viewers are stunned by Subaru's audacity, and several fans post high-credit missions daring him to clear the dungeon solo. Subaru quietly notices that the 5-day timeline lines up perfectly with the upcoming Floor 3 tournament, suspecting that Blue Zone planned it that way on purpose. Raymond warns that the cavern is extremely dangerous and shares that he lost half his friends there when he was young, but Subaru brushes it off, insisting he will go alone, fully aware that the dungeon is meant for a 20-person raid. Both Raymond and the viewers think Subaru has lost his mind, but he ignores them. Meanwhile, Rina is ascending to the 3rd floor and catches the tail end of Subaru's stream. She silently hopes he doesn't appear on her floor, knowing she would have to deal with him personally if he does. After the stream, Subaru walks with Hatsuka, who gives him practical tips on attracting more viewers. Subaru plans to spend the next 5 days leveling up, testing his thunder skill, and experimenting with the Heart of Thunder, all while promising himself that no one will take Suya's relic at the tournament. Back at Soten Entertainment, an arrogant Blue Zone player, Genzaki Naoto, arrives, clearly annoyed that he had to travel just to meet a streamer. He meets with John and demands to see Narigami Subaru, but John calmly informs him that Subaru is unavailable and has already refused to join Blue Zone. Furious, Genzaki accuses the agency of keeping Subaru for themselves and threatens that Blue Zone will not let this go. John shuts him down, explaining that top streamers earn just as much as rankers these days, and that Subaru's choices are fully supported. When Genzaki continues to push, John suddenly releases a brief but overwhelming burst of magic, terrifying him completely. Coldly, John orders him to leave. Genzaki stammers in shock, and John immediately drops the aura, returning to his usual cheerful demeanor, leaving Genzaki unsure if he imagined the whole thing. Infuriated, Genzaki storms out, swearing revenge, while John simply laughs it off. 3 days later, inside the 3rd floor dungeon known as the Sky Serpent's Nest, Hasoi Subaru tests the limits of his growing abilities against the dungeon boss. The massive Sky Serpent launches relentless attacks. Channeling his powerful thunder skill into his weapon, he leaps high into the air, avoids the serpent's desperate lunge, and delivers a single, devastating slash, instantly defeating it. Moments later, system notifications confirm the boss's defeat and announce Subaru's level up. The monster also drops a valuable item, the Sky Serpent Fawn. Opening his system window, Subaru sees that he has reached level 35, with updated stats. Examining the Fawn, he uses his knowledge from his past life to estimate its value at around 10,000 credits. After leaving the dungeon, Subaru meets his Soten Entertainment manager, Hatsuka. Noticing her excitement, he asks if something good has happened. She eagerly asks whether he has watched the new collaboration video, but Subaru admits he has been fully focused on grinding. Hatsuka praises his performance, saying that even without trying, he perfectly captures the essence of the original Narigami Subaru. She then hands him his earnings report from the Hawk-Eye collaboration stream. Subaru is shocked to see that he has earned over 49,000 credits, far exceeding his expectations. However, Hatsuka reveals a more serious reason for the meeting. She mentions her friend Sagan, who shared concerning information about a player named Omar Schneider, a dedicated Blue Zone guild member who has remained on the 3rd floor for 10 years, driven by his obsession with conquering Thunderclap Cavern. Hatsuka warns Subaru that, after publicly declaring his intention to solo the cavern, Schneider is likely planning to confront him. She urges Subaru to stay cautious, as their encounter may happen soon. Meanwhile, in Ordinar on the 3rd floor, Omar Schneider rides in a carriage with his subordinates. One of them mocks Subaru's claim of clearing Thunderclap Cavern solo, dismissing it as ignorance of the dungeon's true danger. Schneider immediately shuts them down, stating they have no time for jealousy or arrogance. He orders them not to underestimate Subaru, emphasizing that despite his short track record, Subaru has become a master of thunder, the very power they have pursued for years. His subordinates sense that Schneider's pride has been wounded and realize Subaru may soon face a serious challenge. Back in his room, Subaru researches Schneider through his system, uncovering old reports detailing how the veteran player reached the deepest parts of Thunderclap Cavern. He concludes that the Blue Zone Guild Master, Itsuki, organized the tournament with confidence because of Schneider's presence. Smirking, Subaru believes those plans will fail now that he has returned. The next day, at the Erdenar Central Market, a greedy merchant deceives a desperate hunter by offering only 1,500 credits for a red troll hide, despite knowing its self-repairing properties make it highly valuable. Subaru later visits the same shop and presents his Sky Serpent Fawn. The merchant immediately recognizes it as a flawless S+ grade item but pretends otherwise, claiming it is only B+ to a rank and offering 8,000 credits, while falsely stating that market demand is declining. Relying on his past life knowledge, Subaru hesitates, considering that after 20 years, the offer might not be so bad. Just as he is about to decide, a large man suddenly steps in, examines the Fong, and exposes the merchant's deception. He declares that, in its pristine condition, the item is worth at least 15,000 credits and asks if he is Narukami Subaru. Subaru immediately recognizes him as Omar Schneider. Subaru meets with the veteran Blue Zone Guild player, Schneider, at a quiet cafe. As Schneider casually orders dessert, Subaru notes that he does not seem like the type to relax in such a setting. Breaking the ice, Schneider brings up Subaru's bold public claim about conquering Thunderclap Cavern. He admits that he initially dismissed Subaru as a reckless newcomer who barged onto the third floor with arrogant ambitions. However, after observing him more closely, Schneider reveals that his opinion has changed. Looking directly into Subaru's eyes, he states that he now acknowledges him at 50%, recognizing his overwhelming talent and the striking similarities to the legendary original Narukami Subaru. Despite this partial recognition, Schneider makes a firm and confident proposal. He demands that Subaru retract his statement and issue a sincere public apology during his live stream, but only after Schneider defeats him in the upcoming tournament. Remaining calm, Subaru accepts the challenge without hesitation, but adds a condition of his own. If he wins, Schneider must hand over all the information he possesses about Thunderclap Cavern. Without any doubt in his abilities, Schneider agrees, declaring there is no possibility of him losing. As he leaves, Subaru carefully observes the powerful aura surrounding him and realizes that 10 years of relentless training have made Schneider an exceptionally dangerous opponent. Meanwhile, Schneider's subordinate nervously approaches him, asking about the outcome of the meeting with Subaru and whether there is any chance of defeat. Schneider calmly responds that while Subaru is no ordinary opponent, he remains completely confident in his own victory. Unbeknownst to him, Rina is secretly observing and, after assessing his aura, feels reassured that the tournament will proceed without complications. Finally, the long-awaited tournament day arrives at the Grand Ordinar Coliseum. The massive crowd erupts with excitement as the participants enter the arena. Spectators quickly recognize the masked streamer, whispering about his identity. However, the loudest cheers fill the stadium when Omar Schneider steps forward, with the crowd chanting his name in unison. The event host, Mizuha, an energetic member of the Blue Zone Guild, greets the audience and explains that the tournament will consist of preliminary rounds followed by the finals. She then dramatically unveils the grand prize, a pair of radiant, legendary shoes known as Teleria, once worn by Hermes. She announces that they belong to the renowned Blue Eyes Guild member, Hibiki Suya. The crowd erupts at the sight of the priceless relic. Standing in the arena, Subaru fixes his gaze on the prize and silently vows to reclaim the shoes, no matter the cost. In the spectator stands, Hatsuka watches closely, thinking that Subaru should restart his live stream to take advantage of the massive audience. However, her attention is suddenly drawn to a suspicious woman nearby. Hasoi Subaru officially starts his live stream just as the highly anticipated tournament is about to begin. The response is immediate, with the viewer count rapidly climbing from 2,000 to over 3,000 in just seconds. The live chat floods with messages moving so quickly that Subaru can barely keep up. Subaru smiles and casually thanks them. Moments later, Mizuha signals the official start of the tournament by demonstrating her magic, spreading a massive magical layer across the entire arena floor. The sheer scale of her power amazes both participants and spectators, showcasing the overwhelming strength of the Blue Eyes Guild. Even Subaru recognizes that a stage of this magnitude could not have been prepared overnight. The system then displays the rules for the preliminary round, a brutal free-for-all battle where elimination occurs upon defeat, and every participant is considered an enemy. The match will continue until the initial pool of over 10,000 contestants is reduced to exactly 1,000 survivors. At first, Subaru considers conserving his energy, assuming he will not be specifically targeted in such large-scale chaos. However, his viewers quickly influence his strategy. Several fans begin posting missions, offering 100 credits for each opponent he defeats. With 200 credits now tied to every opponent he defeats, Subaru abandons his passive approach and immediately shifts to an aggressive strategy. Across the battlefield, the number of participants rapidly drops to 8,000. Meanwhile, the veteran Blue Zone player Schneider walks calmly through the chaos, completely ignoring weaker fighters. He quietly states that none of them matter, as he has only one true target, Subaru. Suddenly, a group of opportunistic players attempts to ambush Schneider. A spear is launched at his back, but he effortlessly dodges it without breaking stride. The attackers laugh, assuming it was luck, and mock him for spending 10 years on the third floor. Confident in their numbers, they believe victory is guaranteed. Schneider calmly corrects them, stating that while teamwork is a valid strategy, they chose the wrong opponent. Drawing on a decade of experience, he explains that cheap tactics mean nothing in the tower, and that only raw strength ensures survival. With ease, he avoids their attacks and defeats the entire group within seconds. In the stands, spectators watch in awe, while Rina quietly observes, acknowledging Schneider's overwhelming strength and believing he is more than capable of advancing to higher floors. However, she grows irritated as her attention is repeatedly drawn to Hatsuka, who is actively watching Subaru's livestream. Despite herself, Rina comments on it, prompting Hatsuka to realize that Rina is also familiar with Subaru. Excited, Hatsuka introduces herself and proudly claims she has been his fan for 20 years before asking about Rina. Back in the arena, the number of survivors drops to fewer than 1,300. Subaru loses track of his eliminations, but a viewer informs him that he has already defeated 98 opponents. Even so, he realizes that earning 200 credits per opponent is not enough to meet his goals, and chasing scattered enemies would take too long. Drawing on his past life combat experience, he decides to change tactics and force opponents to come to him. Channeling his thunder ability, he strikes a massive tree, creating a loud and attention-grabbing disturbance. Elsewhere on the battlefield, Schneider notices the surge of thunder and immediately recognizes it as Subaru's doing. Without hesitation, he heads straight toward the source. Moments later, the two finally come face to face. The live chat erupts with excitement as viewers witness the long-awaited encounter. Schneider declares that he will end the fight quickly, stating that Subaru will be forced to apologize sooner than expected. The system interface flashes above the ruined arena, announcing that only 1,202 survivors remain on the battlefield. This means just 202 more eliminations are needed before the preliminary round ends. Schneider immediately launches an attack, but Subaru skillfully dodges. Calculating the situation, Schneider notes there is still enough time left in the match. Meanwhile, Subaru keeps his eyes locked on his opponent, carefully analyzing his stance. Drawing on his past life combat experience, he understands that if he loses sight of the spear's tip for even a moment, he could be defeated instantly. Tracking the weapon closely, Subaru notices how Schneider's mastery allows the spear to cover distances that seem almost impossible. Recognizing the need for greater power, Subaru activates his nameless cursed sword. A system notification appears, stating that the weapon is absorbing his vitality while proportionally boosting his stats. With his abilities enhanced and dark energy flowing from his blade, Subaru charges forward. The two clash in a high-speed exchange, striking, parrying, and dodging with incredible intensity. Schneider eventually pauses and questions why Subaru is not using his signature thunder skill. Subaru calmly replies that using it now would be wasteful, as the survivor test is nearly over. This response irritates Schneider, who interprets it as being underestimated. At that moment, the system counter updates again, dropping to 1,007 survivors. Only 7 more eliminations remain. Schneider warns Subaru not to lose focus and immediately attacks with renewed force. Subaru blocks the strike and counters with a taunt, questioning whether Schneider himself is holding back. Within seconds, the system announces that exactly 1,000 survivors remain, officially ending the preliminary round. Both fighters are instantly teleported to separate waiting rooms. As they disappear, Schneider remarks that Subaru was fortunate this time and promises they will settle their fight in the finals. Subaru responds confidently, saying the 10,000 credit mission for defeating Schneider will simply have to wait. Once alone, Subaru's hands begin to tremble, realizing that if the fight had continued any longer, he might have been defeated. Meanwhile, his live stream surpasses 10,000 viewers, marking a major milestone. Hatsuka had previously explained that breaking this threshold is essential for long-term success in the entertainment industry. With this achievement, Subaru secures both financial stability and growing recognition as a streamer. Despite this, he remains confident that Schneider will never be able to conquer the Misty Cave. Elsewhere, Shigeru watches the stream, impressed by Subaru's performance. However, he still believes Schneider holds the advantage, reasoning that Subaru's only edge is his thunder skill. Without another equally powerful ability, Shigeru doubts Subaru can win. Back in his room, Subaru receives over 18,000 credits from viewers and accepts them immediately, ignoring comments advising caution. Determined not to miss any opportunity, he uses the credits to upgrade his Wedge of Greed to level 4, raising it to B rank. After reading the updated description, Subaru realizes that an idea he has been considering for a long time may now be possible. The scene then shifts to Mizuha, who receives urgent information from the Blue Eyes Guild that someone may attempt to steal the tournament's grand prize. A staff member informs her that reinforcements have arrived, none other than Kurikawa. He explains that aside from Narukami, Subaru, and Schneider, there is another potential threat to consider. Meanwhile, in a quiet hallway within the spectator area, Hatsuka steps directly into the path of a cloaked woman. She immediately points out that someone with such immense magical power has no reason to be there. The woman introduces herself as Tammy, acting shy after being called out. However, Hatsuka quickly sees through the act, stating that the woman is clearly no ordinary person. She observes that the stranger has undergone extensive training and is using disguise magic to alter her appearance. Beneath the disguise, Rina silently studies Hatsuka, questioning her boldness and wondering if she might be an agent of the Blue Zone Guild Master. Hatsuka continues, noting that powerful individuals often hide their true identities. Her tone turns serious as she directly asks whether the woman intends to disrupt the tournament. Dropping the act, Rina responds coldly, asking what Hatsuka would do if that were the case. Without hesitation, Hatsuka stands her ground and firmly declares that she would stop her by any means necessary. The break time ends, and the finals officially begin. Down in the waiting area, all the players jump back in shock as they realize that their opponent has been standing right next to them the entire time without making a single sound. Up in the announcer's booth, Blue Zone Guild host Mizuha takes the microphone and explains the rules to the cheering crowd. The finals use a system called territory control. Each player starts on their own tile, and the goal is to take over the territories of others. Up to 2 players can occupy one territory at a time. The match follows a one-on-one bracket format, where the winner of each duel takes over the loser's territory and continues forward. When the system officially starts the match, no one moves at first, since staying on your own tile is the safest approach. Subaru agrees with this idea, but he cannot stay still for long because he earns 300 credits for every player he defeats. He begins attacking and takes down players one by one. Meanwhile, Schneider is also defeating players quickly, focused only on finding Subaru. He eventually spots him, and their eyes meet. However, Subaru immediately turns and moves in another direction. Schneider becomes furious, and even the viewers question why Subaru is avoiding the fight. Subaru simply replies that this is not the right time, and he needs to earn credits first. As Subaru continues clearing out players, he He notices how much weaker everyone on the third floor is compared to Schneider, whose strength clearly stands out. At that moment, an arrogant player named Don Chow, one of Schneider's subordinates, enters Subaru's territory to challenge him. Don Chow charges forward, but Subaru easily snaps his spear in half and defeats him without effort. Soon after, Schneider arrives in the same area and immediately attacks. He strikes Subaru repeatedly and tells him to use his thunder power or he will lose. The viewers also begin asking why Subaru is not using thunder. Subaru is pushed back by the force of the attacks, but then, to everyone's surprise, he calmly puts away his sword. Schneider assumes Subaru is trying to escape again, but Subaru tells him that he is about to reveal his true thunder. He activates his thunder ability, enhances it with the Heart of Thunder, and uses Wedge of Greed to control the strain. Schneider is genuinely shocked as he watches Subaru turn his elemental power into a physical weapon. Subaru then asks if Schneider still believes he is running. Schneider quietly admits that he does not. Subaru then asks if Schneider is the one who wants to retreat now. Schneider understands how powerful the attack is, but he chooses to face it head-on, determined to surpass it. A brief flashback shows Schneider and Don Chow walking together before the tournament. Don Chow asks why Schneider is so focused on the Thunderclap Cavern when he already has the ability to reach the 5th floor. Schneider explains that when people become too attached to one goal, they often forget why they started. He admits that it is an obsession, but he is certain of one thing. Whether he succeeds or fails, his life will change because of it, and that is why he refuses to give up. Back in the present, Schneider feels something change within him. He senses that Subaru is about to become his next obsession. He stops holding back and charges at Subaru with everything he has. Their weapons collide with a powerful impact, and the scene ends at that moment. In the spectator stands, Hatsuka angrily confronts Rina, firmly declaring that she is Subaru's manager and that she cannot allow the tournament to be disrupted, as it would be a major setback for his stream. Rina is completely shocked to learn that Hatsuka holds that role. Hatsuka adds that she secured the position after facing a great deal of opposition. Rina then excitedly reveals that she is an original viewer who has followed the streams closely since the battle with the Wolf Warrior. This makes Hatsuka realize that Rina is also a longtime fan of the original Blue Eyes Guild leader. Suddenly, both of them gasp in disbelief as they watch what is happening in the arena. Rina begins watching the live stream with a worried expression. Down on the battlefield, Subaru stands victorious and quietly thinks to himself that he hopes to meet Omar Schneider again soon. A massive holographic system window appears above him, officially announcing his victory after he captures 283 territories. Fireworks burst across the stadium, and the crowd erupts in loud cheers. Hatsuka watches with tears of happiness in her eyes, while Rina remains unhappy. Mizuha steps forward and announces Subaru as the winner and the recipient of the grand prize. A glowing cube descends from above, revealing the legendary shoes inside. Hatsuka notices that Rina suddenly leaves her seat, looking troubled, and seems to make a firm decision. Subaru steps forward to claim the prize. As he reaches for it, memories from his past life surface. He thinks back to when he was the original legendary player and recalls a moment where he angrily confronted his teammate Soya, demanding to know who had worn his shoes. He insisted that the person confess, as wearing them would damage their shape. Another teammate laughed casually while eating a snack, teasing Soya for getting so worked up, but for Soya, those shoes meant a great deal. Returning to the present, Subaru holds the shoes as viewers begin commenting on his new reward. Some say he is becoming very powerful with his items, while others joke that he might sell them for a high price. Subaru reads the comments aloud and says that although people think he could get a high price, he will never sell them. Hearing this, the crowd becomes extremely excited and begins shouting offers. People call out for him to name a price, offering better items and increasing bids from 2 million credits to over 4 million credits. Finding the noise overwhelming, Subaru suddenly releases his power. A bright pillar of golden lightning strikes the stage, shocking everyone. The announcer is left stunned, wondering how the situation became so intense. With lightning surrounding him, Subaru looks at the crowd and clearly states that he will not sell the shoes, even for 10 million credits. He then turns and walks away from the stage. Meanwhile, in a quiet hallway away from the arena, A Blue Zone recruiter named Hamaki Hiyori speaks with Kurikawa. Kurikawa is surprised that Subaru managed to defeat Schneider and calls it an unexpected result. Hiyori asks if the streamer might eventually become like the original Subaru. Kurikawa replies that recently, fans have been saying that whatever the original Subaru could do, the new Subaru should be able to do as well. When Kurikawa asks what those terms mean, Hiyori explains that people refer to the Blue Eyes Guild leader as the original and the current streamer as the new Subaru. Kurikawa finds this idea strange, but Hiyori believes they are not so different. She quietly remarks that fans of Blue Eyes can be very intense. Hearing this, Kurikawa changes the topic and asks what they should do next. Kurikawa lifts his weapon onto his shoulder and says that they have a job to do, which is to catch the one who plans to take the shoes. He walks down the dark corridor, and Hiyori follows him, asking if he is upset. The scene then shifts back to Subaru, who gently holds the legendary shoes in his hands. He says that he is glad to be able to touch them again, even like this. He also thanks the viewers for the mission, admitting that it helped ease his feelings. A system notification appears, showing the item details. The shoes are called Talaria, a level 30+ unique equipment item known as the Free Thief Hermes shoes. At that moment, Subaru receives urgent messages from Hatsuka. She asks if his stream is still active and warns him that she saw someone suspicious. She tells him to stay alert. Meanwhile, Rina walks along a street, hiding her face behind Subaru's mask. After a moment, she removes it and makes up her mind to take the shoes. Later that night, Subaru goes to the cafe to meet Hatsuka, who congratulates him on winning the tournament. So he simply sits down and asks about the message she sent while he was live streaming. Hatsuka seems worried as she tells Subaru about a strange woman she met in the stands, who was hiding her face with a Narigami mask. At first, Hatsuka thought the woman seemed suspicious, but as they talked, they slowly opened up to each other. Since the woman was also a fan of Subaru, they spoke about many things. However, when Subaru won the tournament, the woman's expression suddenly changed, as if she had just been heartbroken, and then she disappeared. Hatsuka finds this suspicious and tries to follow her, but the woman is very skilled at hiding her presence. This makes Hatsuka certain that she is no ordinary person. Hatsuka then asks if the woman is from the Blue Eyes Guild, and when she mentions it, the woman's reaction changes. To Hatsuka, it feels as if the woman became somewhat nostalgic upon hearing those words. Subaru immediately realizes who the woman might be and rushes outside to look for her, leaving Hatsuka confused. The scene then shifts to Rina, who is sitting on a mountain while hiding from assassins sent by Itsuki. She comments that Itsuki has become careless for sending rookies after her, even though he knows it is impossible to defeat her. Rina also complains about Subaru for winning the tournament and then suddenly running off after leaving the cafe. Watching Subaru run, she claims that she could take his shoes in just 5 seconds, but she hesitates because Subaru behaves exactly like the Subaru she once knew. In the end, Rina gives up on taking the shoes and stands up, saying that if Subaru joins the Blue Zone, she will not go easy on him. Before leaving, she expresses her desire to speak with him directly, hoping it would feel like meeting the real Subaru again. After revealing her true feelings, she disappears. Meanwhile, Subaru, after running for a while, finally stops, completely exhausted. He begins to wonder why he did not consider the possibility that the Talaria shoes were used as bait to lure out members of Blue Eyes. In that case, Rina, who is skilled at stealth, might have come to take them back while hiding her presence. Previously, Subaru sensed Shigur's magic from the ice flowers, and then someone who seemed like Rina appeared. This makes him consider the possibility that all 4 of them might still be alive. However, he does not want to jump to conclusions too quickly. With Rina's personality, if Saya's keepsake were right in front of her, she would never remain still. While he is deep in thought, Hatsuka finally catches up to him and asks with concern if he is alright. When she asks why he ran off, Subaru says that he thought the strange woman was someone he knew, but it turned out to be someone else. Hatsuka gathers her courage and comments in a way that reminds Subaru that he does not have any close friends, especially not female friends. Without continuing the conversation, Subaru decides to head back immediately. This makes Hatsuka wonder if she offended him, but Subaru does not respond. The scene then shifts to the back alleys, where Hiyori and Kurikawa are hiding while waiting for Rina to steal the shoes. Hiyori complains that she is bored and asks if they allowed her to slip away, but Kurikawa denies it, explaining that they received orders from Itsuki to withdraw. This frustrates Hiyori, but Kurikawa explains that no one showed up because no one would allow someone else to walk away with such a valuable prize. Since no one came to steal the shoes during the tournament, it suggests that Subaru's former teammates may truly be gone and that the rumors were false. Even so, Kurikawa admits that he had hoped some of them were still alive, but it seems that is not the case. He is also aware of the rumor that the previous Subaru died because Blue Eyes betrayed him. The scene shifts back to Subaru, who is researching online and finally discovers why his former teammates are not coming out into the open. Itsuki has spread false rumors about Subaru's team in order to betray him. Subaru realizes that Itsuki is now far beyond his reach, so as a rookie player, he needs something more special to catch up. He thinks about the spear he demonstrated at the tournament and the legendary item he used on the second floor, the lightning spear. That technique, which mimicked a one-time use item, was a success. Subaru now understands that there is still much for him to learn about thunder, even though he once believed he had already mastered it. Thunder is a power desired by gods and giants, and it is also the power humans use to fight and defeat them. Perhaps he has not truly mastered it yet. Because of this, Subaru sets a new goal for himself, to conquer the Thunderclap Cavern so he can uncover more of its secrets and become even stronger. The scene then shifts to Hatsuka. She is on a video call with Sagan. After thinking for a moment, she decides to help him, but only if he agrees to do one favor for her. The scene shifts back to Subaru. Subaru goes to a cafe to meet Schneider, who is already seated. Schneider explains that, like him, all of his comrades were poor back then. But still, they endured his selfishness and joined him in challenging the Thunderclap Cavern. They could not rely on guild support like players do now, and they were not skilled enough to say that hunting was easy. Wealthy players could use credits, but for Schneider and his companions, hunting was their only option. On that day, as usual, they went out together to earn trial fees and gain even a little experience. That was when they encountered a sky serpent, and they stood no chance against it. A fierce battle followed, and in the end, all four of Schneider's closest friends lost their lives. After hearing this story, Subaru asks if those comrades resent him. Schneider replies that they surely do, so much that he can almost hear their voices. He feels deep guilt over their deaths and often wonders why he is still alive. Subaru understands how heavy that feeling is and tells him to stop blaming himself so harshly. Schneider misunderstands this as pity, but Subaru continues and asks why he still aims to conquer the cavern when most people would have given up. Schneider explains that he believes he is responsible for his comrades' deaths, so if he gives up, their sacrifice would lose its meaning. That is why he has been obsessed with the Thunderclap Cavern all this time. Although he thinks Subaru may not fully understand, he admits that Subaru has given him hope. In the end, Schneider agrees to explain what kind of place the Reiko Cave truly is. The scene then shifts to Shigeru, who is feeling very frustrated as he considers the possibility that Itsuki may have realized they are still alive. He is also very angry at Itsuki, and he releases his anger using ice magic. Soon after, he receives a message from Rina, who apologizes for failing to steal the shoes. This only makes Shigeru more frustrated. Returning to Subaru, he starts his live stream and informs his viewers that he plans to conquer the cavern today, which is why he began the stream. More than 5,000 viewers have already joined. As he reads and responds to comments, another player approaches him, greets him, and reveals that they have also accepted a request to conquer the Thunderclap Cavern. It turns out that many people have gathered for the same quest, and since Subaru has accepted it as well, they suggest forming a group and going together. At that moment, Hatsuka sends Subaru a message, warning him that these people are just a hastily formed group trying to take advantage of his success. Subaru confirms their intentions by speaking with them and sighs before agreeing to go together. He then turns around and says that he cannot attack them just because he feels like it, but he wants to make one thing clear. They are not true comrades, only companions in name. The scene then shifts to the Conrad Kingdom's gathering point, where many people are waiting to enter the Thunderclap Cavern. Conrad's S-rank mercenary, Demon, observes the group that will join them. He notices Subaru, who is an E-rank awakener, and mocks Raymond for choosing someone of such a low rank. Hearing this, Subaru briefly considers confronting him, but then he senses strong killing intent coming from Demon's group. At the Osman Kingdom's gathering point, Schneider stands in front of another Awakener from the Blue Zone Guild. They have arrived under Itsuki's orders to take part in the raid. The long-haired man demands that Schneider leave immediately and mocks him, saying he had to come here because he failed to protect a valuable guild asset. The two exchange harsh words, and the man continues to insult Schneider for wasting 10 years in a place like this. Schneider's subordinate becomes angry, but Schneider stops him. The long-haired man leaves, telling Schneider to be grateful, as they might finally succeed in conquering the Thunderclap Cavern this time. Schneider chooses not to fight, knowing his team is made up of rookies who would not survive. He also believes the man may be right about their chances of success. The scene shifts back to Subaru as he enters the cave along with many other players and members of Demon's group. While walking, Demon explains the strange behavior of the area, where doors open at fixed intervals. Eventually, they reach a place like a carnival, where powerful lightning constantly strikes the entrance. Because of this, entry is only possible at certain times. As they stand before the gate, the purple-haired man approaches Demon and asks if this is his third time attempting the cavern. Demon confirms that fewer than 10 mercenaries have ever returned alive from this place, and he is one of them. The man continues asking questions and learns that Demon keeps returning because he is searching for the Thunderclap trace. If he obtains it, he plans to leave his dangerous work behind and live a peaceful life. Demon explains that he values his life, so he has no intention of going too deep into the cave. He also warns Subaru to be careful, or he may lose his life quickly. As they move closer to the entrance, Demon explains that the lightning will stop within an hour, and only then will the gate open. To demonstrate the danger, he throws a mouse toward the entrance, showing what happens if someone tries to enter while the lightning is still active. The viewers watching Subaru's stream grow impatient and begin commenting about the wait. Ignoring Demon's warning, Subaru starts walking toward the entrance, causing the others to worry. When he reaches the gate, Subaru remains unharmed. Thanks to the Heart of Thunder, he is able to resist the lightning and stand safely. The gate then releases an intense surge of energy, as if testing whether he is worthy to enter. The Heart of Thunder responds, causing the gate to disappear and revealing a hidden trace. The lightning fades, and the thunderclap trace drops out from the entrance. Seeing this, Demon immediately draws his weapon and questions Subaru. Subaru realizes that only someone qualified can make the trace appear. At that moment, an axe suddenly flies toward him, catching him off guard. Since the others have attacked first, Subaru can defend himself without worrying about any penalty. After launching the attack, Demon demands that Subaru hand over the thunderclap trace. Demon and his companions surround Subaru, and Demon declares that everything in this world belongs only to the locals. He then threatens Subaru, saying that even outsiders fear death. Subaru knows this is true. Even though dying in a trial does not mean real death, the pain feels completely real, which can cause extreme fear, mental stress, and lasting trauma. Demon and his group are used to attacking outsiders, which frightens the other player who came with Itsuki. The purple-haired man tries to calm the situation and suggests resolving things through conversation, but Subaru ignores him and defeats one of Demon's companions. He quickly defeats the second as well, which makes Demon uneasy, since Subaru was supposed to be only an E rank. Subaru then charges at Demon, but Demon narrowly dodges. Subaru comments on whether that was Demon's pride as an S rank, managing to avoid being defeated in one strike. This angers Demon, and he rushes at Subaru, but Subaru easily injures him. Seeing Subaru's weapon, Demon accuses him of relying on demon blades to gain strength and calls him a coward. Subaru responds that anyone can save money and obtain such a weapon, but Demon will not need it anymore. Subaru then defeats him. After dealing with all three of them, Subaru turns to the group that entered with him and asks if they also want the thunderclap trace. The purple-haired man, already frightened, immediately refuses and speaks politely to avoid conflict. Soon after, the entrance fully opens, and they all proceed inside. A red-haired woman, who looks concerned, asks the purple-haired man if it is really safe to follow Subaru, as she feels he is not an ordinary person. The purple-haired man reassures her and advises her not to provoke Subaru. As long as they do not interfere with him, things should remain fine. As he reveals his true reason for coming, monsters suddenly appear. They surround the group from all directions, causing panic among the players. Subaru recalls Schneider's warning that the first creatures he would encounter in the Thunderclap Cavern are Thunder Wolves. They attack in packs, so if he fights them one by one, he will quickly lose stamina. While the other players struggle against the wolves, Subaru moves straight toward the group to find the smallest one, as it is the leader of the pack. As he becomes surrounded by the others, Subaru uses his shoes to fly into the air for 30 seconds. From above, he briefly thinks about how Toshia must have felt. He soon identifies the leader hiding among the pack, but it attacks first, knocking him to the ground. Subaru channels thunder energy into his demon blade and defeats the leader in a single strike. After defeating it, he levels up, while the other players continue struggling against the remaining wolves. Subaru remembers Schneider explaining that once the leader is defeated, he takes control of the pack. Acting on this, Subaru orders the wolves to sit, and they immediately obey, leaving the other players confused. Without offering any explanation, Subaru decides to move deeper into the cavern, with the wolf pack now following him. Subaru stops after reaching a certain spot and orders the wolf pack to howl. The wolves begin howling, which frightens the other players. The purple-haired man asks what Subaru is doing. In the next moment, more monsters appear after hearing the howling. The purple-haired man and another player run towards Subaru, begging him to stop because it will attract even more monsters. Subaru calmly explains that he is going for a surrounded hunt, as this is his usual method. He assures them not to worry about him, saying that he has the Thunder Wolves under his control and can handle it alone. This only makes the purple-haired man more anxious, and he asks what they should do. Subaru reminds them that they are only tagging along and must survive on their own. Subaru then begins fighting the monsters, while the other players struggle to hold their ground against the flying ants. The scene shifts to John, who is watching the live stream with his assistant. She looks worried and asks if they should really allow Subaru to act this way. John responds that he wants to respect the streamer's decisions. Even so, she remains concerned. John explains that under normal circumstances, Subaru might face consequences, but this situation is different. Subaru has clear proof that those players were simply relying on him. They are not strong enough to clear the Thunderclap Cavern on their own, so staying with Subaru was like taking advantage of his effort. John's assistant wonders if the viewers will see it the same way. She suggests that allowing them to stay might avoid possible backlash. John disagrees and explains that if Subaru allowed it, more people would gather around him in the same way. Subaru is making an example to show that such behavior will not be tolerated. After defeating the flying monsters, Subaru levels up. However, the wolf pack and the other players are no longer standing. Subaru then asks his viewers if they still have complaints about solo runs. The viewers respond with mixed reactions. Subaru then warns during the live stream that if anyone tries to take advantage of him again, they should be ready for the same outcome. Hearing this, John laughs and realizes that Subaru fully understands the impact of his words. Every move and every statement was carefully planned. John admits that Subaru is top tier, both as a player and as a streamer. He then calls Hatsuka, but she immediately tries to end the call, saying she is busy. However, she becomes interested when John mentions Subaru. John asks if she informed Subaru about the recruitment post made by players trying to tag along. Hatsuka confirms that she did. John then asks if this entire situation was her plan, but she denies it and ends the call. Ignoring the awkward moment, John asks his assistant to prepare a copy of the forum post. He says it is now their turn to make it clear that Subaru is supported by a strong agency. The scene then shifts to the long-haired man, who is struggling against the wolf pack and calls out to Schneider for help. However, Schneider is not fighting and is simply watching the situation. Once he identifies the leader of the pack, he throws his weapon. The long-haired man is confused and thinks Schneider has turned against him, but the weapon passes by him and strikes the leader, defeating it. Schneider then orders the wolves to sit, which confuses the long-haired man even more. He begins to think Schneider is challenging him, but soon realizes that the wolves are actually obeying Schneider's command. He tries to question Schneider about this, but Schneider explains that neither he nor the higher ranks in the blue zone understand the Thunderclap Cavern at all. Schneider advises him to leave if he does not want to embarrass himself in front of his subordinates. The scene then shifts back to Subaru, who is now facing another monster known as the Thunder Beetle boss. Subaru defeats it in a single strike using only his fist and thunder. Schneider had once reached this point after years of effort, and it took him 3 years to get there. That was when Schneider realized that the true challenge of the Thunderclap Cavern begins from this point. Now, Subaru stands before the real entrance to the true Thunderclap Cavern. Up to this point, the Thunderclap Cavern has not been very different from a normal dungeon. According to Schneider, the real change begins when Subaru enters the first chamber of thunder. The moment he steps inside, the true trial begins. Subaru carefully studies the drawings on the walls. He remembers that it took Schneider more than 5 years to pass this place. The drawings look like a dragon, but some viewers become uneasy when they notice that the images seem to be moving. Suddenly, a system notification appears, stating that his thunder qualification is being judged. Thunderclap refers to the powerful roar of thunder, but that sound is also part of thunder itself. In the end, both are aspects of the same power. Because of this, Subaru is still unsure whether the rewards from the Thunderclap Cavern will be the same as his own thunder ability. Even if they share the same element, the skills may still be different. The Thunder Judge, Ragnell, appears before Subaru. This reminds him of Schneider's advice not to try to defeat Ragnell the same way he defeated the wolf warrior Greg. Subaru now understands that no matter what, he cannot defeat Ragnell. He only fought Greg before because there was a mission tied to it. Schneider had warned him that Ragnell's trial changes every time. It seals a person's senses and traps them in complete darkness. In some cases, it summons powerful monsters and forces a battle. Ragnell asks Subaru if he is the one taking the Thunder trial. Subaru confidently confirms, which seems to interest Ragnell. He remarks that Subaru already possesses many qualifications. Ragnell then asks Subaru to take out the Thunderclap trace. This confuses Subaru, as Schneider never mentioned it, but he follows the instruction. Ragnell then states that Subaru is the one who opened the gate. Hearing this, Subaru asks about Schneider, but Ragnell explains that no one else ever entered through the gate. They only collected stones formed from condensed energy in the area. Subaru realizes that this makes sense, as he is the only one present who truly possesses thunder power. After this brief exchange, Ragnell presents the trial. Subaru must swallow the Thunderclap trace. Subaru knows the stone is valuable, so he hesitates, thinking about the possible reward. Even so, it feels like a waste to consume it. However, he refuses to stop here and swallows the Thunderclap trace in front of Ragnell. Immediately, Subaru feels intense pain spreading through him. The scene then shifts to Hatsuka, who is watching the stream. She becomes frustrated with Ragnell for forcing Subaru into such a situation, especially since Subaru values money so much. At that moment, she receives a call from Sagan, who has arrived at the location she asked him to go to. Hatsuka sincerely apologizes for making him do this, but Sagan only reminds her to keep her promise. He explains that there is no turning back now, which is why he called. Hatsuka wishes him good luck and ends the call, still feeling worried. The scene then shifts to Sagan, who has arrived at the 5th-floor Martial World Divine Training Ground. Standing before the building, he comments that he cannot believe he has returned to this place. Meanwhile, Subaru opens his eyes while feeling intense pain. At first, he thinks it is the kind of pain that comes from unlocking veins, but he soon realizes that his mana flow is being blocked instead. No matter how hard he tries, he cannot move his body as he wishes, because the Thunderclap trace is trying to take control of him. The Heart of Thunder begins resisting the Thunderclap trace, even though it is an equipped type item. His fatigue rises to 81, and the pain grows stronger. Subaru realizes that the Heart of Thunder and the Thunderclap trace are different forces. Because of this, he decides to swallow the Heart of Thunder as well. After doing so, Subaru regains control over his body. In the next moment, Ragnell appears again and comments that Subaru has finally understood. Subaru can now feel the Heart of Thunder within his body. Ragnell comments that it is a complete waste of a valuable treasure, since Subaru did not even know about it before. Subaru complains that he almost died trying to resist its power. In response, Ragnell reveals that the previous wielder of thunder could not handle it, but this time he has high expectations. After saying this, Ragnell disappears, and Subaru's thunder skill increases to level 5, instantly rising to S rank. The scene then shifts to Schneider's team, who have reached the first chamber of thunder. They are surprised to find that the drawings on the walls are no longer there. The walls are completely blank. Schneider's subordinates ask if he removed the drawings, but he replies that he never took the trial. This means someone else entered before them and completed it. The bald man wonders if it was Subaru, but questions what Subaru could have done to make the dragon disappear. The long-haired man says he does not care about the drawings and insists that if Subaru has already passed through, they should hurry before he takes the reward. Schneider, however, seems pleased. He explains that he is not here only for the reward, and he is glad to see a change. Someone other than him has finally made it this far in the Thunderclap Cavern. Because of this, he is in a good mood and tells the long-haired man not to ruin it. The long-haired man becomes uneasy and decides not to argue. As they move forward, the bald man continues talking about Subaru with the long-haired man, while Schneider walks ahead and advises them to stay alert. If they want to witness the first true conquest of the cavern, the least they must do is survive. This makes the long-haired man realize that Schneider is not planning to clear the stage himself. They finally reach the last gate of the cavern, where Subaru is already engaged in a fight. Schneider opens the door, and they enter what appears to be a castle. A system message tells them to take a seat on the throne. Schneider looks around but cannot find Subaru, which irritates the long-haired man. He complains that Schneider keeps talking about Subaru and assumes that Subaru has already taken the throne and moved ahead. However, Schneider believes otherwise. As Schneider steps forward and tries to approach the throne, a knight suddenly appears and blocks their path. They are shocked to see that the boss is actually a human. Schneider explains that they must defeat this opponent to move forward, but this is where he believes no one has ever succeeded. The knight is known as the Knight of Thunder, Pelus. Schneider had mentioned this figure to Subaru before, and Subaru immediately recognized him as the knight he once helped during a previous raid. This raises the question of why such information was never known, even though many people are familiar with Pelus. Schneider explains that he is the only one who knows the knight's name, yet even he did not know the knight's true identity until now. Because of this, he believes that Pelus and Subaru are somehow connected. This is why Schneider had hoped Subaru would arrive before him this time, but that did not happen. Pelus recognizes Schneider, then questions whether he is the one he has been waiting for. It becomes clear that Pelus is still waiting for someone else. Hearing this, Schneider prepares his weapon, but before he can act, the long-haired man and his subordinates rush forward. Schneider tells them to stop, but they ignore him and are instantly defeated. Despite this, the long-haired man still refuses to listen and charges at Pelus again. The moment he attacks, his sword breaks immediately.